Tell us, what's your favorite moment of the championship? Is it's going to involve Josh Ritchie? Chances are it probably will. But guys, you can also win a copy of the game thanks to Bandai Namco. It's going to be for PS4 as well. So jump in and give us your thoughts. Guys, speaking about the championship so far, let's go back a little bit more recently. Let's talk about what happened last week, because it's a little more standard in terms of how things have been recently, but still some great racing.
Yes, we saw Scott McQueen get a really good exit into turn one and made a really good getaway. Sort of a lot of battling going on the Kemmel Straight as we sort of predicted, a lot of drafting that went on. Jordan Penny rather symbolically splitting Scott McQueen and Josh Ritchie straight down the middle, down the Kemmel Straight once more, and it was a really good battle between those guys. We saw a battle emerge nice and late in the race, but it was ultimately Jordan Penny who came home with the win, Robert Northway second and Parker in third.
Yeah, well, race two, you know, it was all about Northway off the start. Now, Robert Northway, he's got those world championships, and he was there. He stayed out there. He was in pole position, and it was all about him, really. The battle, what we love to see, was the battle between Pene, McQueen, and Ritchie. Now, these weeks have been Ritchie and McQueen, but this week it was about Pene and McQueen. And we've seen some really good racing from Scott McQueen come out, and he's one guy. He only had the game 3 weeks, so that was the challenge, was between Jordan Pene and Scott McQueen. And in the end of the day, though, there was a bit of controversy. And we're going to touch on the controversy very shortly, but it was coming down that front straight at the end. And we're going to have a highlight of that very shortly on what happened. Scott McQueen, a bit of, what would you call it, Simon, in motorsport terminology?
Bit of hip and shoulder, Robin's racing, you know.
I like to call it holding hands. And we'll see it in a moment as well, because, I mean, look, it was such a tight finish as well. Another one where we didn't actually know who won until the very last second. We had to double take. But, of course, you saw a little push and shove from Jordan Pene. But let's take a look at the points results from last week. Jordan Pene, both fastest laps as well, sitting in there with the most points. But Northway coming out pretty well. The important thing is McQueen and Ritchie didn't come out of that one with as many points as we'd like to see.
Yeah, look, it was really cool to see Robert Northway to get that second position. And what it did is it made a quite tight, nice championship coming into this final leg of the race. Jake Parker, further down the championship, the usual suspects we see down there. Driver championship standings. Look at this for a finale here. Jordan, he's at the top. We expect that. But Scott McQueen, Josh Ritchie, and Robert Northway, ladies and gentlemen, have we got a championship title fight for second and third?
Cool. And I'm actually going to break down a little bit of the maths for this one, is that Jordan Pene is, he's 42 points ahead of second place, right? And that means he's technically able to be overtaken. He did have some points deducted from last week, so we'll touch on that again. But this does mean that technically someone can take first place, but Jordan Pene needs to get 8th place in both of tonight's races. And that, from what we've seen so far, not very likely. I mean, technically it has happened before, but that was a pretty serious mistake, and I don't expect to see it again. But what I want to mention is that Robert Northway, currently in 4th place, out of the money, not going to get anything yet, has the possibility to make it all the way up to 2nd place. But again, he's going to have to get some good results and rely on both Ritchie and McQueen to do pretty badly. They need to get something like 4th or 5th or worse in both of the races tonight. So if you're cheering for any of these guys, those are the results you're looking for. So now, we did touch on Jordan Pene last week. We had a bit of controversy. Guys, we're going to talk about the penalty system. And, Brendan, I'm going to hand this one over to you as the resident expert.
Yeah, look, in any normal racing, you've got Motorsport New Zealand stewards, and now up in that tower right there on the right, they'll be watching something like this, and you can see Jordan Pene cuts across. Now, defending your line is okay in normal racing. You know, one defend to come in front of a car is semi-okay, but when you knock them and then knock them again, they're not so big. So the what we will call the Sky Tower officials, or the LPL officials, said, hey, look, we're not too happy about that, and he unfortunately, and it has made it a tighter championship. He got docked 10 championship points, and it's the final tonight. There's $10,000 on the line. That's a lot of points when the race is, and I know that Jordan's not happy about it either, coming into the studios tonight. So it's the nerves are on. They're really serious in there. It's game on, basically. They're all quiet. They're all focused. It's anyone's game tonight.
All right, and speaking of Jordan Pene, I mean, look, he's still our current championship leader, and we actually have him on standby just to see how he's feeling before his last race in the entire championship. So let's send it over to Jordan.
Yeah, with Jordan Pene, first is all but confirmed for you tonight. How are you planning to, go into these 2 races?
Just planning to have fun, enjoy myself, and maybe try to mix things up a bit, but definitely stay within the tracks or to avoid penalties. Yeah, that's basically it.
And we're expecting a tough fight between Josh and Scott for that second position. How are you going to avoid that and not get caught up in the mess?
Well, I'm going to enjoy watching that. Hopefully I have a front seat on that action. Hopefully I can, just be around them while it's happening and be another obstacle maybe in the way.
And staking your claim on that first place prize, you planning a big night of celebration?
Maybe not a massive, big night, but yeah, we'll definitely celebrate. Probably Andy's bar or somewhere around here. Yeah.
Great, and best of luck tonight, mate.
There you have it, Jordan Penne, one of the most consistent racers we've had so far, the most first place finishes by far of any racer, and I think he's also the most, the racer with the most fastest laps as well, so he's escaped a lot of trouble, managed to quite consistently stay ahead of the pack, but he also mentioned something quite interesting in that interview that I haven't considered in all of my calculations, is that he could technically get deducted some points in the race tonight, and that would also make it a little easier for someone to overtake him. Still, I don't expect it to happen, but I feel like he's going to race just that little bit more carefully tonight.
Yeah, he doesn't need to push it this race. He's sort of got it in the bag, but like we say, mathematically he can. Now, I've just actually heard him talking to the officials in there, and a few people are cutting corners on some of these chicanes. There's some really aggressive chicanes tonight, and being the grand final, the question is, well, what happens here? So the officials are going to be really working really hard to make sure that, I guess, they're watching these things tonight, because there's as we've just said, there's a lot of money on the line. But, he's definitely the man to beat.
Yeah, and the men that are going to be looking to beat him, Josh Ritchie, Scott McQueen. Now, we also have to talk about Josh Ritchie. He's probably the most talked about racer in the whole championship. I mean, yeah, Penne's first, like that happens. But Josh Ritchie has been putting his heart and soul into the championship so far, and really, you can see it on his face. He's going to be looking for it tonight. And again, we also want to catch up with him, get a few words from him to see if he thinks he can take that race, and most importantly, if he can overtake his big rival, Scott McQueen.
Here with Josh Ritchie. Josh, second and third is so close. How confident are you taking that second spot tonight?
Well, I mean, there's been races so far this year at Barcelona where, I supposedly could have gotten a good result, but fell by the wayside. In the end, I know anything can happen in here. I mean, third place is looking pretty good right now. Second place is there as well. But in the end, I just got to approach these races, as they come, and think about individual performances rather than looking at the championship. Because the moment I look at the championship, that's when it all goes to pot.
And speaking of Barcelona, how are you going to deal with McQueen's potential antics that you might come up against tonight?
Oh, if he wants to punt me again, go ahead. But I have the protest system to my avail, so hey, let's see how it goes.
And we find ourselves in the United States this week. How confident are you on those two tracks?
Well, I mean, Watkins Glen is great fun to race, and Road America as well. But Road America, these curves have a tendency to, not be quite rewarding for use of them, so to speak. So basically, you hit a curb there, it'll throw you off the track. Watkins Glen's a lot more forgiving, but, there will be the rain to dry period in that race. So there's a variety of factors for these two upcoming events, but hopefully I do just enough to be able to get that podium spot in the championship.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot and best of luck.
There we go, Josh Ritchie. Look, he's just got his mind on the game tonight, mind on the race. And, of course, I want to talk about him a little bit because he's the racer with the most second-place finishes, right? And we're not currently seeing them right now, but he's got the most second-place finishes, more than anyone else. He's got one first place to his name, so he's definitely got championship material in him. It's going to be all about tonight. He needs to, at the very least, for a good result, beat Scott McQueen.
Yeah, how cool is it to actually see such a battle between two competitors? You see it in motorsport, out on the track, but actually to see it here in studio with Josh and Scott, and like, wears his heart on his chest, like on his sleeve, and he's you've seen it on camera this year, and he's actually a real character. So I think he's going to go far if he wants to pursue something like this in motorsport. But just cool to see that battle going on between those two. So I guess I'm looking forward to hear what Scott McQueen says in rebuttal to that. But that's the battle we're going to be watching tonight. If you're at home watching Scott McQueen and Josh Ritchie.
That's right. And we also, like the other two, we've got Scott McQueen on the sidelines, and he is ready to tell us how he's going to beat Josh Ritchie and potentially even overtake first place from Jordan Penne. So, Scott, how you feeling?
Here with Scott McQueen, you can state your place on the podium with a strong result. How are you feeling for tonight?
I'm pretty confident. Just got to qualify well and try not to let Josh pass me.
Speaking of Josh, he's had some things to say about you. What have you got to say for yourself?
Should be an interesting race, shouldn't it?
And for the tough races ahead, we're in the United States. How are you feeling about these circuits?
They're pretty sort of tight, pretty hard to pass on unless you get a good draft. So I think qualifying is really important.
Great. Well, best of luck tonight, mate.
And Scott McQueen, I want to also mention the fact that this guy has really picked up his results over the last few weeks. He was kind of middle of the pack in the first few weeks, but and I think this is something you bring up a lot, Brendan, is that the guy practices a ton.
Pretty much, dude. If you guys want to get a result, put in the work. It's as simple as that. Jordan Penne, 2 to 3 hours a night. Scott McQueen, Josh Ritchie, they're all in there and they're all putting in the work. Real awkward pause there, unfortunately. Freddie really chucking her under the bus with that question around Josh Ritchie. But, handled semi-professionally. So, as far as Scott McQueen goes, the dark horse of the championship. He's definitely been that dark horse. I was expecting Louis de Manila with the seat time he's had, but not so much. So, bar Robert Northway and Ethan Moore, he's going to be the one to really upset this championship.
All right, guys. Well, look, we do want to get into the race tonight, but before we do, we always have to look at where we're going to be racing. And, of course, we're finally going all the way back to the US of A.
Yeah, two of my favourite circuits here. Watkins Glen and Road America. Watkins Glen, 5.4 kilometres long and 11 turns in total. And then we head to Road America, 6.5 kilometres long, 14 turns. Two very similar styled circuits, quite fast, long straights, some flying corners at Watkins Glen. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys deal with the weather conditions, which we're going to face too at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, the weather conditions, and we'll touch on them as we get to the actual tracks, but they're not anything too terrifying. We've seen blizzards, we've seen storms, but tonight we're just going to see a bit of rain and then mostly dry afterwards. So the races, they'll have to deal with the rain, and then after that, it's just pure racing from then on. I mean, look, do you think a lot of these races just fare so much better without the weather conditions like that?
I think for us, it's just good to see them adapting and molding their skills. Just a normal dry track, it's boring. When you chuck in slipstreaming, and there is a bit of slipstreaming in this week, and then rain, it really tests the skills. I found out on the Hampton Downs go-karts this week, where Simon took me out on the track, what rain really does. And we're going to catch that. It was quite cool. We actually, for the first time ever, chucked all these guys out in karts, and they all raced, and me and Simon got to go. It's horrible. But
That's great.
Besides that, yeah, it was great. Don't go racing with this guy. So, rain, it's cool. It's good to have in motorsport. It really equals the field.
Yeah, and we'll see a little bit of that, like I said, in the first track, but we'll get to that eventually. Guys, let's, for the final time, have a look at the beautiful Ginetta G55 GT4, the car that all the racers will be racing in. And finally, in the Playtech red.
Yeah, for the last time, here it is, the Ginetta G55 GT4, topping out at just under 300 kilometers an hour, accelerating from 0 to 100 in 4.3 seconds. It's running a Ford V6 engine. Goes pretty hard for what it is, in fact, pushing 350 horsepower, weighing just over a ton. It's got a lot of downforce on the front and rear wing and under the body that you don't see a lot of. They probably won't be utilizing it too much to the corners tonight. It's going to be a circuit, Watkins Glen, Road America, where they're going to be slipstreaming a lot. So look out for a lot of passing at the end of those straights.
All right, guys. Well, we're not too far away from getting into the race. But before we do, I want to remind you all that you can jump onto Twitter if you want to earn yourself a copy of the game. And this one's a fun one because the question is, what is your favorite championship moment of the whole game? And the hashtag you're going to be using is down below, ProjectCars2NZ, and you can earn yourself a copy of the game for PS4 thanks to Bandai Namco. Now, guys, before we get into the race, we are going to go to a quick break. So, everyone, I want you to make sure that you stick with us through that one because tonight is going to be one hell of a ride.
Like us, you're passionate about cars. At Star Insurance Specialist, we create custom policies for Kiwis with exceptional vehicles. If you own a vintage, classic, performance, project or prestige car, your needs don't fit neatly into a box. We think special and unique cars deserve special and unique insurance. We don't let robots determine policy or price. Get on the road with a custom policy from Star Insurance Specialists. Go to starinsure.co.nz today.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the grand finale of the Star Insurance Specialist Project Cars 2 New Zealand Championship, where Matt, Simon, and Brendan once more again for the final night of the championship. Now, guys, you brought this up a little bit before, but we took all the players to Hampton Downs to have a bit of a go-kart race, and you guys were actually there.
Yeah, it was really cool to be able to go out there. Big thanks to Hampton Downs for letting us have a go. Whenever you get 8 passionate racers on a race course.
And 2 commentators.
And 2 commentators, all passionate racers, you're always going to have potentially some damaged karts. So it was a recipe for disaster when the rain came in, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, look, I don't want to get any spoilers right now because personally, I haven't even seen the race, so I'm really excited to check it out. But look, guys, I don't know who to predict out of you who did the worst or the best.
I had a great time.
You had a great time?
Yeah.
Maybe you won. Who knows? You're giving me the eyes there. All right, guys. Well, look, I want to check out the race just as much as everyone at home. So let's take a look at how everyone here did at Hampton Downs.
We're here at Hampton Downs Motorsport Park. We're removing the guys from the element that they're comfortable with, and we're going go-kart racing 8 up, Simon.
We're putting these guys to the challenge. It's Hampton Downs. It's the first time they've ever raced together on one track at one time, real life.
But we will see reverse order for qualifying. Let's go racing. So Hampton Downs go-karting, there's one man in the know, it's Brian Wilson. Brian, tell us a bit about this track.
We've got a track here at Hampton Downs that we do open to the public. 2 track configurations, 530 metres, 830 metres. Some really cool elevation changes. The boys will have a lot of fun today.
All right, Louis de Manila, the fastest Filipino. Are you going to be fast out there? You should be grabbing an XXL helmet for the ego in that head right now. You know, you've got the experience. Sure. Who are you going to beat? Who are you going to punt off the track?
You guys are going to be racing with us, so let's see what happens.
All right, guys, we're about to go qualifying here at Hampton Downs. Simon says he's going to take me out, and black means faster. I don't think he knows what he's doing. Guys, we've just finished qualifying here at Hampton Downs Motorsport Park. Sitting in 8th, though, Michael Robinson, which means you start in first, reverse grid. Was that some strategy there or sandbagging?
I'd like to say it was strategy, but I think my dietary choices kind of weighed me down a bit there, but that's all good. I'll start from the front.
place. Jordan Penny, no surprises, the winner. Jordan, quick word, how's it feel?
It felt awesome, taking people out.
I know, I came last. Get on top of your podium steps there. Jordan Penny, you can shake it up and put it in Simon and Louis' face.
How was it? How was it getting sprayed in the face?
Yes, it was good. Robert's actually not here tonight. He's racing from home because he couldn't make it tonight. You might have seen in the coverage there, just holding the ribs a little bit. Might have had a wee incident there with the wall. I'm not saying that it was my fault.
You took him out into the wall.
He was on my outside.
Blocking or punting or pushing.
Look, we got to go look at it in slow motion. Maybe take it to the stewards or something.
So there's no stewards.
Post-race investigation. Yeah.
But it's all right. I'll be the judge here and just deduct 10 points from you.
I got second.
But it's all right because look, he got last, so we can at least stay easy on that one. But guys, let's actually get into the real race today. Let's take a look at the first track, Watkins Glen, and I want to hear all about it from you, Simon.
Oh mate, awesome circuit. It's a long one. It used to host the Indy Grand Prix and host the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. Hosts NASCAR occasionally as well, and you'll see a NASCAR style of line around here. The circuit is going to start dry, I believe, potentially. Or
I think it's starting wet.
Start wet and then go to dry. So that's going to be a challenge for these guys. Interesting talking to them actually pre-race. The strategy in terms of how these guys tackle the circuit and how the race unfolds is going to be really interesting. From what I understand, talking to the drivers, they're just not going to pit. So they're going to stay out there on wet tyres potentially and hopefully just manage them and not overcook them too much in dry conditions eventually. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys handle it on a wet tyre on a dry track with overheating tyres, and I think it'll make for some interesting racing, no doubt.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I mean, look, we've seen races pit early, pit a little bit late, but not pitting at all. That's and you're saying that all of the races or most of them?
It sounds like it. It sounds like the strategy is to stay out, because by the time that you go into the pit lane, you're going to lose at least 40 to 45 seconds. So once you've come into the pit lane, you cycle out, you've got some green slick tires on, you're probably going to have maybe 3 or 4 laps to deal with. 3 or 4 laps, you're not going to be able to make up the 45 seconds that you've lost during that pit stop. So I think maybe one of them, if you're a guy like Louis, you might stay out there knowing that you've got nothing to lose, really. You're not there to take any prize money. So
he can get 6th place, I believe.
Yeah.
I think that's as high as he can go from his current standing. Hey, he made it to the triple digits though. So
I kind of have to disagree in a way, because championship leader Jordan Penny, he pitted early, and their pit strategies can majorly affect this championship. So him and Robert Northway went out there and they went early, and you just don't know that with this game. These are 2 guys that are calculated, they're well trained in this game, and they went out and they were put back out on dries in a wet condition. So it's anyone's game. We really don't know, and this could really affect the championship to where it sits. So if you get it wrong, we could really potentially see a major championship upset. But hey, these guys have been practicing, a lot of practice, so they're in the know. But as we've seen in previous races, they can be chucked out the door real fast.
Well, there's only one way to find out. And guys, the races have actually completed their qualifying race already. So we're actually going to be able to get into the race pretty soon, actually. So we'll get the results very shortly, see what the grid is going to look like for the second last race of the whole championship. And this is something, I can't remember who said it. One of the interviewers mentioned that, look, qualifying is so important in these last 2 races, especially for, I think it was McQueen that said it, Scott McQueen, Josh Ritchie, they need to qualify as far up as they possibly can. I know Ritchie has fallen short on, at least in last week, he didn't qualify too well. So that could very well be the difference between 3rd and 2nd place for him tonight.
Yeah, look, Josh Ritchie didn't have the week that he wanted last week. He was a bit further down the table. If you get pole position, you get fastest lap, and you get first place. Someone like Scott McQueen, if Jordan Penny's down the table, that still puts him in the prize pool. $10,000 on the line, $5,000 for first, $3,000 for second, $2,000 for third. That's big prize money. Even in New Zealand motorsport, that's big prize money. So, understandably, the nerves are on these guys. They must be quite nervous as well. So, whether that's affecting Josh Ritchie's game or not, it's another thing. But, right now, I guess let's do the wager we always do. We're going to remove Jordan Penne from the equation. I'm going to quickly Scott McQueen. That's who my money's
Josh
on.
Ritchie, I'm taking it now.
You're taking it.
Yep.
You know what, guys? I'm actually going to sit here and say Robert Northway.
Yeah.
I think
Interesting.
he's going to do really well, probably the best. But for him to get up into third or second place, he does have to rely on Josh Ritchie and Scott McQueen actually doing badly. So if you're a Robert Northway fan, you want to see those guys get fourth or fifth or worse than that. So while I think he might win both the tracks potentially, I don't think he'll get into the podium finish, but he will go out with a massive bang tonight. So again, he's relying on at least one of those two to do pretty poorly in both of the races tonight to actually at least even draw with them. So look, these guys I've got to say Robert Northway, right? I mean,
he's got form on his side. I think he's got like four wins to his name. That's more than Scott McQueen and Josh Ritchie combined.
Yeah, Scott. Oh, I think it's the same. Scott McQueen has three place finishes.
Okay, yeah.
Josh Ritchie has one, so they're about even there. But look, Robert Northway, he's also a lap time god because he's come in, set world records on a lot of these tracks in the Gen-Energy 55. And coming into today, though, I did have a quick little peek at the leaderboards that you can actually look up online. You can look up and see who's got the fastest times. And normally Northway is right up there at number one, but it's Jordan Penne tonight. So I believe it was Road America as well, that Robert Northway was something like the sixth fastest. But guys, we've got the grid here. Let's see how qualifying went. Scott McQueen and Josh Ritchie, first and second.
Perfect. Jordan Penne rounding out the top three there. Ethan Moore just knocking on the top three on that podium position in fourth at the moment. Louis De Manila, eh? How good. He's in P5. He's about 2 seconds behind, though, so he'll need to find some pace when it comes to the race. Robert Northway in P6 there, your man. Matt, I don't know what he's up to. He's down at P6 there. Michael Robertson and Jake Parker rounding out the top 8. Really disappointing, I think, to see Jake Parker so far down the order. It's funny you should say, he was actually knocking on sort of the top times in practice ahead of this weekend. I'm pretty sure he's got the fastest lap time of anyone ahead of Jordan Penne on one of these circuits. It might be Road America.
Jake Parker is number 3 in the world for, I believe it's Watkins, which is the track we're about to go into. So it is quite surprising to see him all the way down in 8th place in the qualifying. And this is also off the back of week 7, where Jake Parker actually really showed up. Like, he was up there in podium finishes, almost knocking on the door of that too. So again, I think the big surprise is Jake Parker down there, and well, I've got to say Northway in 6th place for the grid. But look, guys, anything can happen.
Well, this is the week for redemption for those guys further down the table. 158 for the top 3. It is all Jordan Penne's to lose. Scott McQueen, Josh Ritchie, those are the ones you're going to be watching out for tonight. But don't discount Matt's man, Robert Northway and Ethan Moore. They've been sort of the dark horses within the championship as well. So we're moments away from getting this race ready. The nerves these guys, just explain to us, Simon, you're sitting on the grid. Much like these guys are sitting in their bucket seats, cool bucket seats, Speed Nation, thank you. What are the nerves that are coming through right now?
It's 10 grand on the line.
It's a lot of money.
You're probably sweating a little bit. You're probably thinking, Jordan Penne, I spoke to him earlier and he said that he's nervous. He's not cool, calm and collected like he has been throughout the entire season. He's not in the right frame of mind, I don't think, at least from my point of view, watching him. He's still got that prize pool on his mind. Guys like Josh Ritchie and Scott McQueen, they're just going to send it. It doesn't really matter for them because they know that basically they're in the money at the moment. It's just the difference of maybe $1,000. That's
just the difference of $1,000.
But it's a couple of laps around Fuji Speedway for Josh Ritchie. So
yes.
I think for these guys, they're definitely going to be nervous. I think the guys at the back from, say, 5th to 8th, they're probably going to be less nervous. They're probably going to be more likely to make I wouldn't say mistakes, but more likely to make risks and take advantage of those guys, potentially going a lot more defensive. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Jordan Penne just drop back a little bit. He's still quick, but he might just sort of drop back into that P4, P5 position because that's where he's safe.
All right, guys, I just want to jump in here quickly to have a bit of an update for the qualifying and why we're just taking a little bit longer than normal. We've actually had one of the PCs has had some technical issues. So unfortunately, what that means is the grid is actually going to be in random order. Now, this has happened before.
Marble draw.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, it's painful for Scott McQueen and Josh Ritchie for sure.
I
Robert
wish we
Northway,
could right now bring up Josh Ritchie on camera because he would be livid.
I don't think I want to see that right now. I mean, I can almost feel his frustration. And to be fair, I mean, that's
look at
that's
him.
pretty rough.
Here we go. He'll be seeing where he's just about to line up now. We're hoping that he's still in that top 3, top 4 position, and he's put in the hard yards. That's the disappointing thing from him. He's gone out there, he's done that 15-minute qualifying session, and it's worth nothing now.
Well, I mean, I think the most important thing for him and Scott McQueen to a lesser extent is to just push that to the side. It's out of your control now. Complain about it later, sure. But for tonight, right now, you've just got to say, I'm going to accept where I am in the grid, and I'm going to drive my heart out.
Now you watch these guys. We're going to stay on these competitors right now. So Scott McQueen, you know, the emotion's not showing on him, but I think from my understanding, I'm hearing back from the ops guys in our ears that it was actually our dial-in driver, Robert Northway, had, so whether it was something to do with the lines, you know, we just lost that signal. So, hey, it's just like in motorsport, we're going to have a restart and a marble draw, but really disappointed. A bit gushing for the likes of Josh Ritchie and Jordan Penne, but we're about to get live with this race in a marble draw as we hear over the race control now. Now, it's so important, right, Josh? You've just got to pull yourself together. You can see he's still agitated about it. But pull yourself together. This is it. Money is on the line, lad. You've got to just get in there. Jordan Penne, he's focused. He is the doctor. He is my new nickname because he has run a clinic on these boys all year. So this is it. We are live. Simon, you can take us away.
Well, Josh Ritchie, he's actually going to start from pole position. So it's here at Watkins Glen. We were reading his lips and he certainly wasn't praying. Looks like Ethan Moore is on P2, Robert Northway in P3, Jordan Penne in P4, and we are racing now. So let's see what happens now. We're going to cycle through. Moore gets a really good start there. Ritchie drops into P2 and Penne down to P3 now off the line. They go line astern into turn 1 here. Let's see how they use those curves. You don't want to be using too much of them because you might get a little bit loose, a little bit leery, and the car might step out on you. Josh Ritchie now looking to go around the outside of Ethan Moore at turn 2. Can't make a move around there. Heads into P3 now. Just holding his line now. Looks like Penny is still holding P3 at the moment, but he's catching Josh Ritchie. They're going to go down this long straight here. Penny will slip under the rear wing of Ritchie, tuck out, and maybe try and make a pass at the chicane. It's not a place where you traditionally pass, and Josh Ritchie is going to cover that line. So we head into the bus stop chicane now, and it looks like Louis Manila is just going to send it down the inside of Penny. So Louis has come out of nowhere. Fantastic start from our flying Filipino to get into the top 3 now. Penny gets a little bit loose as they head into the boot. They call it down here. This is the boot. That's pretty plain and simple for the Americans.
This track. Now we can see right there, that's Scott McQueen. Now unfortunately, Scott McQueen started all the way down the pack. Now the person that was stressing out was Josh Ritchie, but it was Scott McQueen that pulled the short straw, and he takes a look on the inside and he makes the move, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. McQueen passes Penne. This is a championship fight, $10,000 on the line. McQueen making the move, but where did Louis come from?
No, I mean, I just want to stay on McQueen because, look, he just honestly, starting in P8, just went Super Saiyan and went all the way up to the end.
Josh Ritchie taking a look.
He's getting a move done now on Ethan Moore for the lead. Can he stick around the outside? This is a tough place to pass, but can he make it work? Doesn't look like it. He's going to slot back into P2. Scott McQueen into P3 now. Just gets up on Louis De Manoa. So a fantastic start from Scott McQueen. We're going to hopefully cut back to the leaders in a moment now because it looks like Josh Ritchie is putting in a really good effort now, trying to get past Ethan Moore. That's going to back those guys up down to the top 3 positions, and Scott McQueen soon will be able to get past. It looks like Josh Ritchie has got into the lead. So just for your information, Robert Northway, it looks like those technical issues for him has seen him drop out of contention. So his hopes of getting into the championship hunt for maybe P3 or P2 are done. So Josh Ritchie takes the lead now. He goes side by side with Ethan Moore, and now that's going to open the door now for Scott McQueen to get down the inside. They head into turn 2 now, side by side. Who's going to take the maneuver up the hill here? They go side by side, bumping doors for a little bit. Moore steps out. So does McQueen. They're a little bit loose over here. These conditions are not conducive for racing. Generally, at this circuit, it gets pretty hairy. So Ritchie currently leading the race. McQueen into P2. Penne down in P5 at the moment, but with Northway out of contention, that's going to relieve the pressure from Ritchie and McQueen.
Big curve hopping there from both McQueen and Ethan Moore, and that's something that was brought up pre-race, so it's something that the stewards, or the officials as we call them, will be watching. But Louis DeMiller, he's sitting right there as well in 4th position. McQueen, now you've got to remember the pressure right now is on Ethan Moore and McQueen. Josh Ritchie has done pretty well to get himself a bit of a gap out in front, but not a big gap. Oh, a bit loose there from Scott McQueen now, but what a comeback. The comeback kid, Scott McQueen, started at the bottom. He's out at the third position. What a great way to start the race when you've got a marble draw. A real unfortunate hand. Now they've thinned out a bit. Now you've got to remember this. There's going to be puddles on the track, and they've got to watch out for that. Now, it's going to dry, though, is it, Simon, as we come through this race?
Yeah, so the rain's going to stop falling in a moment. It's only light cloud here at Watkins Glen. It'll start to dry out. These guys are currently on wet tyres, and it looks like just behind there, it looks like Michael Robinson was sending it down the inside of Jordan Penny. Penny's going to drop down to P6 position now. They go side by side. Who's going to get the pass down? And Penny, really conservative at this point in time, is not trying to hold on to position too much as he drops down to P6. So, yeah, as I was saying, basically the rain will stop, and it simulates what it's like in real life. So imagine you're on the motorway, right, and you're driving along, all of a sudden you get a massive downpour, the rain stops, and you start to see those grooves in the road ahead of you. That's from the cars going through and drying up the track. Similar story here. These guys are going to be going around the circuit, they're going to take that same line as each other, and you'll get a dry groove start to form.
Like we've talked about in this championship, you know, when there's a wet race, often the safety car will start out, they'll lead 40 cars around, they'll get the circuit just a bit drier, and then they'll let the race go. Now, really important to note here, if McQueen gets up to first position and Pene comes last as Ethan Moore gets loose coming up through the hill, that is a real championship. This is potentially putting McQueen in the road for that championship. Now, Pene's really got to deliver some results. He's on the track. He's come back up to fifth position. That's going to relieve the pressure a bit. If you see him in seventh, it's a real dangerous position to be in.
Oh,
now,
contact.
McQueen takes a little look at Ethan Moore. Now, this is a race. Money is on the line. Big money as well. So, Ethan Moore, he's going to get a lot more of that coming through the next sections.
Well, there's only a couple of points separating Ritchie and McQueen in the championship, and at the moment, I believe, if it finishes the way that they are now, McQueen could potentially get leapfrogged by Ritchie.
Ritchie essentially just needs to finish in front of McQueen to overtake him in points, right? And just has to hold that result into the next race. Touching on the point about Pene is that McQueen can overtake Pene, but Ritchie cannot, despite only 2 points being between them. Short of something weird like penalties, taking points off Pene, that's the only way that someone can overtake him. It's only McQueen right now. Ritchie's just focused on beating McQueen.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic for Pene, and right behind him is a lot of pressure, as we're going to watch right here. Jake Parker just sitting on that back bumper of Jordan as well. Now, Ritchie, McQueen, and Moore, those are the guys that, you know, that's the way the championship fight really is outside of first. But well, I'm just blown away with such you didn't expect it. You couldn't write the starting of this race.
Fantastic start for Josh Ritchie there. McQueen even better really to get up into P3. So McQueen, as it starts to dry out, you'll probably be wanting to conserve his tyres. You've actually got to be conscious of the conditions now. You can still overheat your wet treated tyres in the wet conditions. So you don't want to be going too hard, as you see Ethan Moore get a little bit wide into turn one there. You don't want to be overcooking your tyres in the wet, let alone when you get into the dry. So when it starts to dry out, and we see these guys probably not pit, as we understand, some might get more loose than others because they might have spent their tyres in this session. Pene, on the other hand, you know, the second sector of this race, the second stanza, potentially, you know, maybe he's playing it safe, just saying in the wet conditions, I'm just going to cruise around, I'm just going to save my tyres. And then when it gets to those last 3, 4, 5 laps, when it's potentially drying up, he might be the one who comes to the fore with tyres that are better.
All right, Josh Ritchie in the lead with a 2:01 at present. All top three with a 2:01. Ritchie, Moore, McQueen, followed by Manila. Great start there, great first race. I guess that's it. It's redemption week, you know. Louis got nothing to lose. Louis coming back out and he's going, right, I've got to prove something here. I've got to redeem myself, as he gets a bit sideways up the top hand side of the screen there. Right behind him, our championship leader, Jordan Pene. Right behind him, Jake Parker and then Michael Robinson. Unfortunately, we have had Robert Northway drop out. So unfortunately, maybe we just lost that signal. We'll find out a bit later. But, you know, it's just great to see. I'm really stoked for McQueen, because he really got the short straw with that marble draw and just totally owned it.
Yeah, look, I mean, so much respect to McQueen for how much progress he's made so far. And now he's up here contesting. Look, McQueen has quite consistently beaten Moore, so overtaking him shouldn't be too hard. I mean, I expect it to happen in the final few laps of the race. I mean, Moore may be able to hold that. It's really just about Ritchie. If you're McQueen, that is who your eyes are set on. you're also set on that first place because remember, like we said, there's potential for McQueen to overtake Penne, but he needs to get perfect results.
Looks like McQueen's got a really good run on Ethan Moore coming onto the front straight. He'll tuck under the rear wing and maybe look to make a move down at turn 1, but it looks like Moore is also getting the slipstream on Richie for the lead. So these guys are tightening up now, maybe just 5 or so car lengths separating the top 3 as we go on to lap 6 here at Watkins Glen. Josh Ritchie, that last time by, did a 2:01.583 versus a 2:01.398 as you see McQueen step out a little bit. A 2-minute flat for McQueen. So he was the quickest on that last lap, definitely benefiting from the slipstream as you see. Ethan Moore is going to poke his nose out into the chicane. As I said earlier, probably not a place you want to pass unless you get the pass done early. Let's see how they get into the bus stop chicane. Moore's done it cleanly, but that might compromise his line as he exits it, and maybe McQueen can take advantage of this battle just up ahead. They're going to head down the short chute into the extended part of the circuit. Richie dropping back into P2 now. Ethan Moore putting on a really good drive here. Good to see him putting in a good performance. We haven't seen this sort of driving since the Nürburgring.
Yeah, great to see Ethan Moore out in there, but now the pressure's back on him in the Nürburgring. He actually got quite a good lead. He got that, so he didn't really have the pressure of Josh Ritchie breathing down his neck and applying pressure in the rain. Josh Ritchie staying there. He's going to have a little look on the inside. Doesn't quite get it done. Good blocking there from Ethan Moore. Just closes it on the apex, and he's allowed to do that, guys. He's allowed to block it once. Now you just can't, like Jordan Penne last week. He unfortunately just block. And the officials obviously taking that into account and docking him those 10 championship points. Moore still out in front, and it's a little bit wide there, but Josh Ritchie just not able to seal the deal. I really do. This is cool though, because now we've got Ritchie and McQueen in this battle that we've seen for the last 2 to 3 rounds, and they've just been battling constantly.
The thing is, if you're Richie right now, you don't really care too much about Ethan Moore being in front of you. It's all about being in front of McQueen. Sure, the extra points are nice, a bit comfy, but right now he's happy with McQueen behind him. Sure, you want to get there, but like, you also got to remember what kind of racer Josh Ritchie is. He does not want to get second at all. I mean, we saw his reaction when he got first place for the first time ever, and I'm sure it'll be just as good if he can do it again tonight.
Looks like Ethan Moore taking an alternative line through turn 1 there, definitely taking a higher line, using a lot of the camber to try and get a good exit, but it looks like that traditional line just working a little bit better at this point in the race. We're currently on lap 6 here of 12 at Watkins Glen. He's got a really good run onto the back straight here, up into turn 4. Can Richie try and mount an assault here on Ethan Moore for the lead and take back that lead? It looks like that rain has stopped for the time being. It's definitely lighting up out there, and let's see, can he get it into the bus stop chicane? He's going to swing it around the outside. Some fantastic courteous driving going on here by these two, giving each other plenty of space. It looks like Richie might have just cleared him now. We'll go to trackside now and see, has he got the move done on him? Yes, looks like it. Ethan Moore is going to stick to his rear bumper now, and now this looks like McQueen is going to be able to get in on the action.
All right, and good to see right behind there in pole position, Benag now coming up. And as these guys battle in the pressure, they're going to be making little mistakes, and that's just going to be able to allow Hene to close the door. He did a 2:01.696 in the last lap. And if you have a look at those lap times, they're doing 2:02 now. Ethan Moore takes a look again. Scott McQueen sitting right there, ladies and gentlemen. Sim racing at its finest here live from the Sky Tower. Josh Ritchie now out on the grass on the left-hand side. We're getting him up. Who's going to be able to close the door? Coming into the right-hander. Ethan Moore's got the advantage. Does Josh Ritchie jump on down? Wow, ladies and gentlemen, what a race. What a race.
Here we go. Looks like Richie's going to have the inside line this time by. These two, definitely two of the cleanest races out there, but that's going to allow Scott to get down the inside of Moore. Moore just holding on, though. This is fantastic driving from these three. Very clean, very courteous, and definitely giving each other enough space. Josh Ritchie, I know that you said he just wants to finish ahead of Scott McQueen, but a car between the two of them will give him a definite advantage into Road America, and will give him a bit of breathing room as well. As you see Ethan Moore get out of the final corner a little bit leery, a little bit wide, just getting into the tyre wall a little bit there, and that's going to open up the door for Scott McQueen to send it down the inside. Can he get the move done? This is where you want to get it done before you head up the hill, but it looks like he's just going to hang with him. McQueen will have the inside line for turn 2, and Ethan Moore will hopefully slot back in behind and maybe get the slipstream on the up the back straight. So let's see what happens as they go into the chicane.
Now on a normal dry day within, if you're actually in a real car, that's a full pin fall to the floor over those over those hills, and there's quite a lot of elevation changes in this track as well. It's predominantly a NASCAR track, isn't it?
Yeah, so NASCAR go here year on year. It's sort of been one of the staples of the calendar. NASCAR, obviously, people probably know NASCAR for going and roundy-roundies doing the big old ovals,
sure.
but they do the occasional road course, as they like to call it. So they go to Watkins Glen once a year and Sonoma Raceway at the very end of the season. So this is a very unique track on the calendar for NASCAR. They don't use the extended horseshoe.
Right, so they don't see what we're actually racing now.
McQueen getting super wide that time, and that might open the door, the opportunity for Moore to get down the inside.
He's coming.
We're going to go to trackside hopefully shortly and see if Moore is mounting an assault. Doesn't look like it at this point. There we go, side by side as they head.
And who's lurking right in the background, hoping for that mistake? Ethan Moore on the left-hand side of your screen. Scott McQueen coming down. Is he going to be able to close the door on the apex? He does. Ethan Moore will just slot in behind him now. Is it what you were talking about before about these guys cooking their tyres?
Well, it's tricky. It's hard to know. We don't have access to the telemetry, unfortunately, at this point. It looks like McQueen's getting super loose there onto the rejoin of the traditional circuit. Can Moore send it down the inside? He's got a really good run on him onto the penultimate corner, but he can't quite get it done this time by. These guys are definitely obviously struggling now with tyre temperature. Maybe McQueen, as you say, maybe he's just overcooked his rears as we get into lap 7. He's definitely loose that time by. Pennant as well, getting really wide onto the final corner. Richie is just able to gap these guys at the moment, and Moore, he's got the advantage now. He's going to go down the inside into turn 1 and get the move done cleanly and as easy as you like. But let's hopefully go back to the trackside shortly, because it looks like Jordan Pennant is about to mount a charge on this top 3 and hopefully get back into the points paying positions. Let's see now as they head up into turn 3 now. Moore gets super loose now. McQueen is right on his rear bumper. They're going to head down the back straight, and this will give Moore maybe one opportunity to block. McQueen an opportunity to send it down the inside, but he's just going to stay as late as possible into the chicane. So obviously doesn't see there being an opportunity that time by. Looks like maybe Richie had a slow exit onto the straight there, and that margin has definitely come down between the top 4 now. So Jordan Pennant, after that really slow start, has managed to claw his way back up into the top 4, getting into that podium position potentially if one of these guys up ahead makes a mistake. So we'll head back to the action at the front any moment as our cameraman gets his stuff sorted. Looks like Richie currently leading the race. Ethan Moore in P2, still a little bit loose. Scott McQueen in P3 and Jordan Pennant watching on eagerly in P4. Now, you can see there's still a little bit of spray out there. You've got to know, though, that parts of the circuit are dry and some of the parts are wet. So you might see these guys being a little bit tactical and moving into the wet parts of the circuit just to cool their tyres, because that's the thing that you need to do, right? When you've got wet tyres, you want to keep them wet. In the slicks, you want to keep them in the dry part.
You can actually see there the line actually drying out as you pass through the screen. The normal racing line's drying out, so to speak, but the puddles will still remain around for the whole race. A bit of drifting going on here from all 4 drivers. This is a close proximity race. I guess they're just easing themselves into it. They know they're all very loose. As now Ethan Moore goes really wide. Whenever they come out and they get on these rumble strips, they just seem to drift. Like you watch now, this is where Scott McQueen put it in the wall before. So Scott McQueen sitting there now, he goes wide again. It's just unable to control. This is going to allow Jordan Pennant to potentially come up on the inside. We'll have a look. Is Pennant having a look to mount to attack? No, he closes the door. Actually manages to close that big gap back up, even though he's on the grass.
Yeah, you can even see just on the UI up the top, you can see just on the right-hand side, Jordan Pennant's name. You can see how far behind he is. And even if we can't physically see him, you can always check that number as well.
Oh, that was a bit of a sketchy moment there for Scott McQueen coming up onto the back straight here. Josh Ritchie currently leading this race. Either Moore in P2. McQueen gets a really good run there despite that little mistake into the chicane. Ritchie, that last time by, did a 2-minute flat. So the times are definitely coming up now. They're getting a little bit better out there, but it's still super treacherous out there. These guys are definitely cooking their tyres. There's only a handful of laps to go here at Watkins Glen, and this is the time where we might see these guys making a mistake. I spoke to McQueen before this race kicked off, and he said one thing you've got to be super careful of is not cooking those tyres. As you see, Moore gets super wide, and they're going to make contact. Moore gets super loose. He manages to correct it, though. Oh, bit sketchy, that one. I'm not sure whether Scott McQueen will be able to hold on to that pass.
Now, we've just got to look to see if the official's going to come back and have a replay on that, and whether it was Ethan Moore pushing him out or whether it was Scott McQueen pushing him out. Either way, it was a bit messy, that's for sure. Josh Ritchie now in the lead. McQueen, though, does it. Jordan Pennant now sits behind Ethan Moore, and Ethan Moore will be doing one thing, and that'll be trying to get that second position back. But Pennant right there looking for it, knowing that third is championship points he desperately needs to make sure that he is solidified as the 2018 Project Cars champion and getting that massive $5,000 prize, standing on top of that box top step and taking the winner.
So the drama continues here at Watkins Glen. Perhaps a review after this race. I'm thinking even more. He's a pretty nice guy. He might let it go. But for the championship complexion of this race, McQueen might be investigated for that move, as he, once again, he's liking to go on the grass here, maybe trying to cool those tyres. Actually, reminiscent of Shane van Gisbergen at Eastern Creek in 2016, I believe. He actually got a bit of a slap on the wrist for that, because he was going all the way to the grass verge to get some water on his tyres to cool them down. It was considered to be a little bit dangerous that time by, but it's virtual here, so it doesn't matter so much. So Scott McQueen doing whatever he can to keep those tyres cold, and it looks like Richie has made a mistake, a catastrophic error, and that's going to allow Scott McQueen to easily breeze past. Richie, let's see if he hemorrhages any more positions. Moore and Penny will be coming up behind him any second now.
Moore is so close. He's just a fifth of a second behind. We'll see if he can catch up after these chicanes. But Josh Ritchie, I mean, look.
The tyres are cooked.
Good recovery there, though, from Ritchie. He was out there, big mistake, and he managed to push it straight back out on the line. And you look at him right now, he's game on, game face on screen, left-hand side there. 159s currently. So that while you say that their tyres are cooked, they were doing 201s, and now they're in the 159 bracket. So maybe that dry track is helping them. Well, it definitely is helping them, because we're in the 159s now, and he's still right there. Currently, I think we're on lap 10 of 12 here. Crucial championship points. More now holding off Penne, and that's not what Penne wants.
A dry track will always be quicker than a wet track. There's no doubt about that. So the times are always going to be quicker. But when you're on wet tyres that have done a full duration race in the wet, and then you're going to go into the dry when they're already heated up, the blocks on those tyres are going to move around. So you've got to be careful now. And Josh Ritchie, unfortunately, we don't have replay, it seems, so we're not going to be able to see where that mistake came. But McQueen just capitalising on that error from Ritchie. Ritchie will be trying to get back into the lead now, and this is going to hand that numerical advantage, that points advantage, back to McQueen in the point standings. You'll see Ritchie gets a massive amount of understeer. He's not happy with himself that time by, just really annoyed there.
Again, look, McQueen out on the grass. I think it must be. You're not doing that purposely every time without wanting to do it for a reason. Now, you can actually see on the track here, you can see the dry areas, and look for the dark patches. That's where it is. Look for the puddles. Look for these guys going through the puddles. Is McQueen taking this in a tactic to cool down his tyres? And now, if we were in the actual room, we could see the PSI and the temperatures, but we can't on our screens right now.
I want to point out as well, Josh Ritchie noticed what Scott McQueen was doing. He put his hand up, pointed at it, and I'm not sure if he was
doing
frustrated.
it again. Right there again.
There's something going on there. I mean, you're right, he's doing it on purpose, and who knows, it could be the most clever thing any of the races have done so far, but McQueen sitting right there comfortably at the top. Ritchie will need to catch him, but he's almost relying on a mistake from McQueen now as we're on the second last lap.
One thing we've missed, look who's in third position. Jordan Penne, third position. Championship 5, first, second and third. These guys have battled it out toe for toe over 16 races. We're down to the second to last races. Josh Ritchie now drifts around it. We should definitely get these guys into D1 NZ at some stage. Josh Ritchie in second position. McQueen, I'd love to see how these guys go in a real race car. Jordan Penne out on the go-karts. He actually proved that he could take what he's learned on these sims, beat you, Simon, even though you cheated so much. Yeah.
Only just.
He punted me off the track. But Jordan even, he wasn't scared to have a go.
Oh, he just sent it
every single time. He sent me straight up the outside and waved.
Well, he hit me in the backside pretty hard, but he's a much more clean racer in this. He's only been docked a couple of points once, and that was for that finish at Brno when he just NASCAR style took McQueen into the wall on the finish there. But yeah, Penne definitely showing that you can transfer these sim racing skills into real world skills.
Right, let's watch this front straight. Scott McQueen, let's see if he actually puts it down the left hand side and cools his tyres again. Now they go wide here, both of them been going wide. Now, purposely, he would stay on the grass, wouldn't stay on the grass here. Look, again.
He's doing it again.
He's doing it again. He's got to be doing it for some reason. I don't know. We'll definitely ask him why he's doing that.
Does it?
Hits the puddle.
I just want to ask a completely newbie question here. Is it only cooling down half of your tyres?
Correct. But they're the tyres that are taking most of the working load as well. So you got to think, when you're cooling the left-hand side of the tyres and you're going into a right-hand corner, all the stress is on the left-hand side of the car. So that's where your left-hand side of the tyres are. So again,
He's doing it again.
He does it again. So
I'm pretty sure Josh Ritchie is not happy about this either, but there's nothing stopping Josh Ritchie doing the same thing. And he's also playing a risk by doing that because he gets it wrong. He's out there, he's loose.
You only want to do it on the straights, that's for sure, because it's the only time where you're not going to have to be contending with the really slippery, muddy conditions.
Now, if you were an official sitting in the official steward box watching this right now, 2 wheels not on the black stuff, would you penalise him?
Well, I referenced that Shane Van Gisbergen incident earlier, and Shane was just given a slap on the wrist.
Right.
He wasn't docked any points or penalised, sort of told, mate, you can't be doing that. That's just a little bit excessive.
Yeah.
In this situation, maybe he's taking a leaf out of Shane's book and saying, just give it a try, why not?
And that slap on the wrist was more for the danger sense of it as well, right?
Correct.
Which is not the case here.
Yeah, well, you can do literally anything in this game and you can still be sitting in your car in the next room over and be tickety-boo right as rain. So for these guys, it doesn't really matter.
12. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott McQueen in the lead, followed by Josh Ritchie. They are currently sitting in second and third in the actual championship points. Penne in third position. He is pretty much done, solidified his hallmark in the Project Cars 2 Championship. We won't find that out till the end. Bit further down the track, Moore, Parker, Manila. Manila's such a great start. What a shame, though. And here we go, Simon. That's the end.
There we go. Scott McQueen. We're heading for oranges at halftime, and my goodness, they are going to be sweet for Scott McQueen. Victory here at Watkins Glen over Josh Ritchie and Jordan Penne. Ritchie will be livid that he didn't hold on to the lead there. He's out of the seat already, a little bit disappointed there. Moore just outside the top 3, so a disappointment for him to not hold on to that lead that he briefly had. Jake Parker, P5, Louis De Manila, and Michael Robinson rounding out our top 7. And, of course, Robert Northway unable to finish.
And I want to tell you guys why we should be respecting Scott McQueen so much more. Ritchie was right at the top of the grid from qualifying, well, from the grid that we had. Scott McQueen started in P8, and he came all the way up to win the race. And that is the most crucial part of the championship too. So honestly, all of my respect has gone towards him. Unfortunately, my guy didn't even complete the race, but Simon, there you go, you got it in. Let's have a look at the results. So Scott McQueen, just so amazingly impressive to get that P1 finish.
And a margin of 1.3 seconds too. No, those conditions were not easy. They were trying. So for Josh Ritchie to finish P2 there, a good result for him. Jordan Penne, while we said maybe he was trying to be a little bit conservative at the start there, he's managed to get onto the podium and score another handful of points. So that'll give him the advantage heading into this final and may well have cemented him the championship.
It was good to see Ethan Moore there. He was right in the throw. He was right in the battle. Just didn't quite execute it. 4th position, still a really good position for Ethan Moore to sit there in 4th. And it's someone that we would like to see a bit further up, a bit faster, I guess. And hey, this by the popularity of what we've had with this championship, no doubt this is going to come back. So maybe he'll come take another stab.
Look, Ethan Moore again. He should be super proud of himself too. He's up there with incredibly fast races so far, and he didn't even come in with as one of the favorites either. So, guys, we do have one of the races on standby, and I can't wait to see how they feel. So let's go ahead and have a chat with them.
Here with Scott McQueen. Luck wasn't exactly in your favour with that random grid. Describe how you were feeling when you were sitting there in that last spot.
Oh, I was pretty gutted. I couldn't even focus properly. I missed the start and everything, and it was a bit scary.
We saw you climb right through the ranks. How were you feeling? What were you channeling to get all the way to the top?
Oh, I think it was a little bit of luck. I'm pretty sure Michael let me through as well, which was nice of him. And Ethan was pretty quick, and there was a bit of a fight with him, so it was nice for him to make that little mistake and let me through.
Fantastic. And we saw that you were using the dirt a fair bit on one of the big straights. We think it was to cool your tyres. Do you think that was a defining difference to get you through to the top?
I was sort of hoping that I'd be able to save my tyres, but Josh making that mistake is what gave it to me.
Can you explain exactly how using the dirt there works in your favour? Because surely using a road car like the Genetta off-road isn't exactly what you'll be looking for.
A bit of the Shane Van Gisbergen trick. It's just the grass is wet, so it sort of cools down the left tyres a little bit, which we're getting quite hot. So,
fantastic. Well, best of luck in your next race, mate. Thank you.
Called it.
You called it.
Yes.
Yeah,
you guys,
Simon, you called it there. You actually said it, and it was exactly what was going through through Scott's mind. So, hey, look, if the officials don't mark him down, then kudos to him. Tactics.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, there's almost no reason why he should be marked down. I mean, the only reason you would is for the danger of it. It's not really there. But look, Scott McQueen, again, look, we've talked about how much we should respect him and praise him for his first place finish there. And the guy looked pretty chuffed. I mean, you've got to be gutted when you get sent into that position of the grid, especially randomly, not your fault. But he powered through it like a monster. And he says there was a bit of luck involved. I don't think so. I think he's just a fantastic racer.
He definitely earned it, you know, and he showed that he had the pace. Coming from P8, I don't think we've seen anyone come from last on the grid to win a race like that. That was an emphatic performance for Scott McQueen, and one that will probably cement him in P2 for this championship. So congrats to him.
Well, look, you can't discount, though, you know, Scott McQueen. Great. Josh Ritchie, though, you know, like, these guys are battling constantly, like head to head, and they're done so great. And Josh Ritchie, you know, can we get a word with him, Matt?
Oh, look, I can give you that because Josh Ritchie, we always want to see how he's feeling. Can't be feeling too great after that finish, but honestly, it's one small mistake. We'll see how much it's been affecting him after this race.
Bit of a controversial lineup there after some tech issues. How did that change your approach to the race there?
Well, I mean, when Robert had that misdemeanor, not misdemeanor, but that technical glitch, I was gutted because second on the grid was obviously very good, and I thought, where is this going to throw me? The cinematic view initially showed me, it looked I was last, so I was like, oh, no. Oh, wait, no, I'm first. So that was a bit of a morale booster, but I knew I had to make the most of it. The race went quite well right up until lap 10 where I hit the puddle coming out of the S's. That's no one's fault but mine, but I tell you what, puddles are the bane of my existence in this game and in life. So, I mean, hey, look, it's disappointing, but, you know, in the end, it's my fault. I've got to live with it, but... hey, it was good to know I had a strong result in that race.
And you said the lineup there was, you know, adrenaline must have been pumping, super excited. How did you manage to channel that and focus that into the, you know, the win for most of the race until, unfortunately, that slide out in lap 10?
Obviously, didn't handle it too well now, didn't I? I found myself spinning around at the S's, so not too well handled. But, I mean, hey, look, seriously, yeah, I've done enough sim racing, you know, before in the past to know how to cope with championship situations. So it was relatively easy to cope with the pressure because I knew how to handle it. It was just getting a bit complacent in this, getting onto that puddle, and I was actually very lucky not to spin out there. So quite lucky for second place, actually, to be really honest with you.
And how does race one, everything's, you know, tied up now, how does it change your approach to this final race?
Yeah, unfortunately with Robert, you know, not being able to compete for third in the championship anymore, that's really sad in my opinion because it was going to be a good battle. But, you know, what's done is done. You know, I know that I am now with a good shot at getting second. Road America have got totally recalcitrant curbing. So it just takes one misdemeanor and then you find yourself in Midland America with grass all around your head. So, yeah, hey, look, we'll just have to see how it goes and just take the race with a fun approach, I think.
Great racing team there, mate, and best of luck.
I'm going to say, Josh owned those mistakes. He sat there and instead of some of the emotion we've seen previously from the guy, he just sits there and says, look, I messed up, you know, random stuff aside, I messed up on around lap 10, and now I'm just going to take it into the final track where he does have a good chance of taking that second place away. Just quickly, again, he needs to get first, and Scott McQueen needs to get third or worse. And so that's the result Josh Ritchie is looking for. I also know that we've got Star Insurance Specialist fastest lap, which is going to earn the racer an extra point. And this actually could be all the difference because if it goes to Scott McQueen, goes to Scott McQueen, which it does, this now means if the result I just mentioned happens in Road America, it's a tie for first place. And we'll talk a little bit later about how we're dealing with that. But first place is now very much needed for Josh Ritchie. And, you know, we know that he can do it. So, guys, I mean, look, just before we go to a break before Road America, I want to get your final thoughts for our final race of the whole championship. What are these guys going to do?
Don't go anywhere. You know, if you're going to do something, tune in, get seated. This is going to be... These guys are at loggerheads the whole championship, especially at the end of it. So as long as we can see Josh Ritchie and Scott McQueen go head-to-head, that would be my ideal finish to this championship, you know. And of course, Jordan Penne in that throw as well.
Yeah, and Simon, just quickly, one from you.
I think the ethos for these guys going into that last race is going to be, I'm just going to send it. You know, this is the way you got to do it.
I'm going to start calling you Jared
You
DeAnder.
just got to send it now because these guys are basically fighting for 10 grand. It looks like Jordan Penny's got that 5 grand all sewn up, but second and third there, you know, for Josh Ritchie,
so
an extra grand in
close.
Japan. You could do a lot with that.
Could do a lot with that. But guys, before anyone does a lot with anything, we're going to go to a quick break. But first, I want to make sure you guys tweet in at Let's Play Live HQ and tell us what your favorite moment of the championship has been so far. Maybe it was from the race we just had. Make sure you use that hashtag ProjectCars2NZ, and we are going to be picking a random winner out of all of those to earn a copy of the game for PS4, thanks to Bandai Namco. But guys, we're going to go to a short break before we get to our final race of the entire championship. Do not go anywhere.
Like us, you're passionate about cars. At Star Insurance Specialist, we create custom policies for Kiwis with exceptional vehicles. If you own a vintage, classic, performance, project or prestige car, your needs don't fit neatly into a box. We think special and unique cars deserve special and unique insurance. We don't let robots determine policy or price. Get on the road with a custom policy from Star Insurance Specialists. Go to starinsure.co.nz today.
Flavor, beats that move you.
And welcome back to the grand finale of the Star Insurance Specialist Project Cars 2 New Zealand Championship. We are missing Brendan, so don't worry, he's going to join us very, very shortly. He's trying to come in right now, but I'm not going to let him. Guys, we're getting into the second track. You're with Matt and Simon. No Brendan just yet. But guys, look, it's all about the battle for Scott McQueen and Josh Ritchie. But let's take a look at the track that they're going to be racing on for the final time in the Project Cars 2 New Zealand Championship. It's Road America.
I've been waiting all season for this race. Road America, 6.5 kilometers, 14 turns, built in 1955. Our co-commentator, Brendan, has just returned to the casting room. Currently hosts IndyCar and a bit of IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, one of my favorite circuits. We're going to do 12 laps here, and it's just going to be dry. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go here. Lots of passing opportunities here, especially into turn 1 and 2 and 3.
Yeah, we've also got to talk about the fact that, hey Brendan, how you doing?
Back.
Hey guys.
Hey, he's back finally. Now we're a real team, and we can finally give you guys the coverage that we need. But everyone, let's talk about qualifying. Right, we're going to come into the final one. It's going to decide the grids. Hopefully this time, I believe Robert Northway won't be joining us for the final race, and so we're going to have all 7 races here. I believe they're actually qualifying right now, so we might check in with them. But again, this is something McQueen said, is that qualifying so important.
So important. Now, you look at Jordan Penner, you look at Josh Ritchie, you look at their faces. They've done so much work, they've both stepped up their hours. Jordan Penner has stepped up huge amounts of time invested in trying to win this championship. Now, for me, he deserves it. He deserves it hands down because he's practiced the tracks, he's put in the time, he's put in the hard work. Without a doubt, he deserves it. Someone who I think, if I was going to put more money on somebody, whether it be Ritchie or McQueen has been practicing hands down so much more than Josh Ritchie. So, if someone deserved it for a second position, I'd be going McQueen just because of the time spent. But, here we are, we're qualifying, and right now, Jordan Penner.
Yeah, and just before we get into that, I want to draw your attention to the bottom left-hand side of the screen. If you're sitting at home and you're thinking, where's my pizza? Well, we've got a deal for you. If you want to get free delivery, just use the code NIGHTSQUAD666 for any online order, and there'll be no delivery charge at all. So go ahead and get your Hawaiian pizza with all of that pineapple.
Yeah, make sure you get some chicken tenders, and if you are wondering what Night Squad is too, just check it out on the LPL Facebook page. Lots of awesome content as well on the YouTube page where you can watch all the championship events, or I guess screenings that you've for the Project Cars Championship as well. Catch up.
Some big names on there too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the first week we actually had a few of the All Blacks and one of the Black Ferns actually come in too. And then last week, I think, which was actually really fun to watch, we had some of the guys from Flavor. We had Daz and Athena. Athena's hilarious in that game. I mean, half the game she's screaming, "Where's my gun? I don't have any guns. I can't defend myself." And it was great. I mean, but she did get a kill in the end, which was really exciting to watch. So, yeah, check it out. Wednesday nights, guys, on twitch.tv/Let's Play Live.
Talking about kills, Jordan Penner is killing it right now. 8/10 ahead of Josh Ritchie, and he's decided to just park it in the pit lane.
Well, did he park it, or was it one of those ghost things where something like this happens? Josh Ritchie hits the wall. Watch this.
Is he going to send it into the wall?
He'll go straight to the pit. He'll disappear. Boom. Straight
just
into
like
the pit.
just like in real life.
He's happy, though. Look, he's like, oh, I'm happy. I'm done. So Josh Ritchie goes to pit, and he's going to be happy with a 2:19. So in the game, not like real life when you're qualifying, if you hit the wall, well, you're in a bit of a bad space. But in the game, you can actually hit escape and go back and get that fresh lap going again.
It's one of those small differences between the real world and the virtual world here. I'd be a little careful if I was those two. I wouldn't sit too comfortable because we know Parker is actually someone who does very well on this track. I've looked at the leaderboards with this specific car, and this guy is third in the world for the fastest lap time on this track. So,
wow.
I mean, look.
The dark horse.
Parker absolutely can come in and sweep away that pole position for the grid. So, I mean, look, again, if you're those two guys sitting in the pits, maybe don't be so comfortable.
On board right now with Scott McQueen. Simon, this track, I was talking to a few of the drivers, and they kind of disliked this track because they said it was really hard to get the apexes right and get the braking points right because there's not a lot of heavy braking in this track.
Yeah, well, Josh Ritchie just before used a word that I'd not even heard of to describe these curbs. He definitely didn't say resplendent, that's for sure.
So were you Googling it? You're a media manager too.
They're just like, basically, these curbs, not well engineered. Let's just say that. So these guys don't like to hit the curbs like they do at literally any other circuit that we've been to. So we see Scott McQueen's going to head into turn one now, miles away from the curb.
He's second.
Admittedly.
Yeah. Bad move, like you said, from Josh Ritchie. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, that's all good.
He went to pit. Parker, he was happy with his time, but McQueen stays out there. He jumps up. Could he stay out and jump up to P1?
Potentially. What I was saying about the curbs, these guys, apparently, when you get on them, they're just not, they don't work well with this car. The car doesn't like them. They're, I guess, a little bit different to your traditional sawtooth curb. So these ones are a lot deeper and a lot more aggressive. So you're probably not going to use them so much as we see McQueen. Look, he gets onto that curb and it just gets the car really loose. Gets onto the curb again, super loose. Those curbs out wide, not so much of an issue. It's more the ones that you're going to be hitting the apexes with.
Yeah. Well, what you can see on these rumble strips is that's what they're called as well. They're actually undulated or shaped. So if you're not common to racetracks, when you get out there, they're designed to not keep you out there. They're designed to, they go up and down, very short, very sharp. And if you're on it, it basically makes your suspension judder. And with these ones, they're very aggressive. You can actually go online. I was watching some Porsche racing tutorials on this, and they were saying, look, the curbs here are horrible. You want to avoid them at all costs.
I've done a bit of lapping around some of the circuits, just sort of not racing as such, but just going around the tracks and seeing what it's like. You go into those curbs, and different circuits have different sort of types of curbs. So some can have really aggressive ones, and some can have smoother, more shallow ones. So you can have different heights and depths, as you say. So let's take Pukekohe, for example.
Amazing curbs.
Turn one
has,
sweeper. Well, it's got the most variety of curbs. So at turn one, you've got some sawtooth curbs on the inside, which are nice and shallow, and then you head into turn two, which has a big hump of a curve.
And from a photographer point of view, you see that's where you get supercars up on two wheels.
Correct.
You know, massive angle in
All you
the
have to
air.
do is look at Gold
Amazing
Coast.
photos.
You know, Gold Coast is the one place that has the biggest curbs and the most action because those guys are just smacking them. And the reason why they do that is because you want to take the fastest line through. So it's the shallowest line through the corner and the quickest line through the corner. So it's good to see now Jordan Penny is still sitting up the top there at 2:18.505 now. Currently at the top, and Ethan Moore there slotting into P2,
So
only 3
Richie-
hundredths behind.
Yeah, I think importantly, Richie is, we saw him not give up, but
Take his
essentially-
headset off and
take a bit of a rest,
Yeah.
thinking like, look, I'm sitting in second. That's pretty good for me. I don't think anyone's going to overtake us. But 1 or 2 laps later, McQueen and Moore have now slotted themselves up. And now that's pushed Richie down to P4. It's going to be a little more painful. And again, we were talking about how important qualifying has been. Remember, McQueen beat Richie in the previous race from P8 to P1 in terms of the grid. So if you're sitting even, not just even, but behind McQueen right now, you're going to be worried as Richie.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the strategy there is with Richie. Maybe he thinks that he's got the championship all but sewn in the second position, but it's definitely not the case at this stage, you know. So maybe he's going to come back from wherever he is and go, oh, what am I doing? So, we are in qualifying right now. If you're just joining us, 2 minutes to go. So, laps 2:18 around here. So it's all but pretty much said and done for most of these boys. There is Ethan Moore. He's been one of our dark horses in the championship in the Silver Ginetta. And, definitely haven't had a lot from him, but some great results.
Well, interesting to note, too, that Ethan Moore actually has the world record on this circuit in this car.
Well,
so
there you go.
Well, he's not so much of a dark horse, I suppose, in this context. He's currently P2 at the moment behind Jordan Penny, maybe getting 2 or 3 more laps here at Road America, trying to get that pole position. I believe it'd be his first pole position on merit. I know that he had 1 pole position at the Nürburgring, but that was a randomized order.
He had Nordschleifer as well.
Yeah.
That's actually the one that he won.
Yeah, that was the marble draw grid for the start. So this one could be on merit if he can get there. That he's only 300ths away from Jordan Penny at the moment. McQueen 14ths behind in P3.
All but said and done. There's only 2 drivers left out there, and that is Ethan Moore and Scott McQueen. 1 minute remaining. Are they going to be able to get round and get over that start-finish line to bank a score? They'll be pushing hard. This is the last lap to see if they can actually push their positions up there. The last one's nope. McQueen goes in. That is him done. He is going to be locked in right now for 3rd position on the grid. This is the last race, ladies and gentlemen. 16 tracks around the globe, 8 races. Unfortunately, 1 down. Robert, if you're at home, not sure what went down there, but we hope you're okay. And we obviously will hear from you very shortly. The downforce on this is, quickly, downforce. If these cars currently, are they set up in this game? Are we receiving downforce? Because I was talking to the drivers and they said that plays quite a big part on this track.
Yeah, well, these guys have got 2 options in terms of setup. So one of the things that we do here at LPL is we set the setups to be identical between all the cars, essentially. You can choose to have a stable setup or a loose setup. A loose setup generally means you take more wing off the rear and off the front. And what I mean by that is that you have a bit of angle on your rear wing. So the more angle that you have, the more air goes on it, and that pushes the wing down. If you have a shallow angle of the wing, the air's going to go over the top, and you're not going to have as much downforce. So downforce creates drag because there's more air resistance. But if you shallow your wing, then you're going to have less resistance and you're not going to have as much downforce. So with a loose setup, you're going to have less downforce. A stable setup, you might have a little bit more downforce. So for these guys on a track which is sort of a little bit balanced in that you've got a few straights and a few fast corners, choosing which setup might sort of change depending on how you want to approach, whether you want to be the guy who's sending it on the straights or whether you want to be getting that really good run out of the corners. So it's sort of a 6 of one, half a dozen in the other in terms of what setup you want to take.
All right, well, there we go. Good physics lesson from Mr. Simon Chapman there. But guys, let's take a look at the qualifying leaderboard there. We'll see where everyone's going to be sitting in that grid position for our final race of the championship. Jordan Penne, no surprise, sitting there in pole position. Ethan Moore, Scott McQueen sneaking in ahead of Josh Ritchie, who sat down and said, my position's good enough. Unfortunately, it wasn't. But now Michael Robinson, Louis D. Manila, and Jake Parker are going to be rounding out the bottom half of the grid. Again, it's a final track, the final race we will see for the Project Cars 2 New Zealand Championship. And it's all about that second place finish. Scott McQueen, Josh Ritchie, essentially whoever wins is going to take out that second place.
Yeah, right. So just heard from race control that Robert Northway definitely won't be joining us for this race. He bowed out. His machine crashed at home. It's unfortunately just one of those things that happens when you're remoting in. But he understands that. And, hey, look, massive congratulations to Robert Northway for getting involved with the Star Insurance Specialist. Project Cars 2, he had some really good results. He actually got 4 points for this. He got the deduction from being at home taken off him as well. So we'll see later on in the show where he sits in the championship. Robert, we know you're listening, so dude, big ups for coming on board and being involved. Now, if you are tuned in at home, this is going to come around again. There is no doubt that the success, the amount of people that are tuning in here live from Sky, get involved, get the game, get Project Cars 2, and have a go, because it's going to come around again, and you could be one of these dudes.
Yeah, maybe next time we'll get more races as well. I mean, plenty of room on that track as well. I'm keen to see way more races too, because like you said, I know there's going to be a whole lot of people at home watching. But here we go, our final track.
So here we go. The sun is setting on the championship here. The sun is setting here at Road America. It's the final race here in the Star Insurance Specialist Project Cars 2 New Zealand Championship. Who's going to get the jump off the line? Penne, Moore, the front row. Let's see how they go into turn one, but the focus will have to be on Ritchie and McQueen down behind there, but it looks like Louis D. Manila has made the best start of all of them. They're going to go 3 wide into turn one just behind here. Moore has the inside line for turn one. Cam Penne swinging around the outside. They make contact. Moore just holding on though, gets into P2. Penne takes the lead. McQueen P3, and Ritchie is going to try and send it down the inside of McQueen for third. Can he do it? Yes, there it is. There's the key move early in the race. So Ritchie already making moves. Can he get more though? Down the front straight, it looks like McQueen's having more drama. Looks like Jake Parker's got up into P4 now, and he's hemorrhaging positions hand over fist now. Here goes Robinson and Manila. They're both going to take advantage of McQueen getting loose out of turn 2, and it looks like McQueen's going to drop down to the back of the pack.
Absolutely devastating from Scott McQueen. A bump and a nudge here and there has sent him right to the back of the pack. And this is going to make Ritchie certainly very happy. But we've seen McQueen come back from a devastating position before. See if he can do it again.
This is super tough stuff for McQueen now, because he's got 2 drivers ahead of him who we know are not the quickest guys out there, who are slowing him down. He's going to have to get these guys done and dusted quickly here on lap 1 at Road America. So we've got 12 laps here around Road America. It's a great circuit. So actually, sorry, 10 there. Sorry, Brendan. And yeah, should be interesting. So we're coming to the end of lap 1 now. Currently, Jordan Penne leading Ethan Moore and Josh Ritchie. Josh Ritchie will be looking to capitalize on McQueen's early mistake.
Well, really interesting to see. It looked like when we just came out of that start line, it just looked like Jordan Penne didn't really see Ethan Moore there. He came in and he just had a little bit of a tussle. What would you say, Matt? Holding hands now. They're down the back section of the track here. Josh Ritchie, I don't know, he knows. He's got like a little smile on, and he knows that, hey, if McQueen is in 6th right now, he's going to be confident, just can't get overconfident, because McQueen, he was the comeback kid last race in the rain. And you definitely don't write that kid off just yet.
He can't hide a smile, and he's also constantly looking over at Jordan Penne's screen as well, because they're actually sitting next to each other. The guys are sitting in 2 rooms of 4, and Ritchie has been sitting next to Penne the whole time. He's also quite vocal. I talked to one of the referees after almost every race, and he just constantly tells me how much Ritchie talks during the race.
I wonder if we can actually, we do have microphones in that room, but a lot of the time the production crew just mute it, because some of the things, the profanity that come out. What are we seeing here?
Massive
We're seeing
margin back to McQueen now. McQueen's managed to get up into P5 now. Looks like there's a good battle emerging there for the top 5 position. The top 3 have managed to just stretch their lead out to about 5 seconds now. So has there been a bit of drama there with Michael Robinson and Scott McQueen? Now McQueen getting up into P4 now. We'll hopefully cut back to McQueen and see what's happening there now. Looks like Parker's dropped down a position now. Louis De Manila rounding out the top 7. Michael Robinson in P5 now. So McQueen, a valuable position to move within striking distance of Richie, but there's still 5 seconds between these guys. So McQueen's done the hard yards early on to get past these guys. And it looks like Michael Robinson just holding a little bit of damage on his Genetta G55 GT4. So we'll keep an eye on this battle as it emerges. But crucially, Scott McQueen is into P4, but Josh Ritchie will need to make up maybe another position or 2 if he really wants to secure that 2nd place finish in the championship.
That's right. I'm going to touch on that as well because McQueen is 10 points ahead of Josh Ritchie right now, which means he needs more than a position to start beating him.
And he's got him. He's got Ethan Moore. So that's crucial for Josh Ritchie's hopes now on lap 2. Just Jordan Penny ahead of him. Look, he's got the eyes on. He is an animated character, this guy. He knows that an extra $1,000 will get him a few more laps around Fuji Speedway when he goes there later on this year. He was saying just earlier this afternoon, it's all confirmed, done and dusted. He's heading there with his mates. He's going to have a good time there. I actually heard he might look at staying there for a little bit longer and becoming an English teacher. He knows Japanese, so he's well positioned.
He knows Japanese?
He does.
Wow.
Oh, Moore now. That takes a look on the inside. Will he be able to do it? He comes in. Josh Ritchie, will he defend? He does. He comes in. Couldn't quite execute it there. Ethan Moore still not ridden off as well. He's taking a look, and you can see just down the back, we sort of slight glimpse at Scott McQueen. Now, these 2 guys get in a tussle. That's what really Scott McQueen needs. He wants, because that's really his only shot. As we come down one of the straights, you can see there, huge gap. Ethan Moore just sitting on that back bumper. He'll be trying to get a slipstream from Josh Ritchie. Josh Ritchie, though, all smirks and smiles, and he goes for the look now down the left-hand side. Is he going to be able to execute it? Ethan Moore on the outside. He's going to go for the late braking. It's going to be an inside apex for Josh Ritchie, and no, not done by Ethan Moore, but they're going to switch over here. Ethan Moore still there.
Got to be careful for Josh Ritchie at the moment. He's going to lose a lot of time battling with Ethan Moore now. There's a 1.5 seconds now out to the leader, Jordan Penny. The lighting conditions will definitely be playing a part now with a bit of sunstrike around part of the circuit later on. But at the moment, it's not too bad. So currently still some 6 seconds back to Scott McQueen, I should say. So really interesting to see that he's not really been able to make up much of a margin here on lap 3.
But I want to say why that doesn't actually matter too much, because if they finish in their current positions, McQueen will still overtake him in championship points. Ritchie actually needs to get first to secure that, unless McQueen gets through that gap, which is quite unlikely at this stage. So Ritchie's goal right now is to overtake Pennant, but he's got almost as big a gap to overtake.
So what you're just telling us, for the viewers at home, is right now Josh Ritchie doesn't have 2nd position. McQueen has it.
Josh Ritchie will finish, he'll earn 6 points more than Scott McQueen. This is for getting the fastest lap, but it doesn't really matter because McQueen is 10 points ahead. 10 points ahead. Second place is certainly not good enough. Look, now I already knew because I'm really smart, but we've actually had it confirmed by the control team. So yes, Josh Ritchie has to get first right now to overtake McQueen in the championship points. Unless McQueen has a bit of a mishap and falls below 4th place. But if you're Ritchie, you can't pray for that.
Now, but does Josh Ritchie know this? Because he's all smiles in there. I don't know if he knows this. I think he thinks, I'm in 2nd. I've got this. I've got the position. I'm not sure after we come off the PlayStation blurb there if we can bring Josh Ritchie up and just have a look to see if he's still all smiles. Because, yeah, Penny, he's way out in front.
Well, that margin has just sort of stabilised there at a 1.5 seconds now. So Penny currently leading this race now. We're heading on to lap 4 at Road America. That margin just sort of eking out that time by, just heading towards the best part of 2 seconds now. Interesting to see earlier in this race, a lot of emotion on Josh Ritchie's face. Maybe he's content with getting P3. I know that he sort of said, the money doesn't matter that much, but then occasionally he'll say, oh, extra $1,000 wouldn't go too badly in my trip. So
well, last week he said, I'm only here for the money and fame. He's a joker. It's cool to, that's the cool thing. He's had a light-hearted championship. He has taken it very seriously, but he knows how to throw a joke or two under there as well. Quite the character.
It's a fun guy. But look, again, that's the result you're looking for if you're a Josh Ritchie fan. If you're sitting at home and you're cheering for Scott McQueen, then you're praying that Ritchie doesn't get any further than he is currently, and McQueen stays at least right where he is. again, huge gap to catch up to Ethan Moore. It's doable for sure. McQueen's definitely beaten better odds, but right now, again, you're essentially praying that Josh Ritchie doesn't overtake Penne.
But hey, let's not forget about Jordan Penne. He's basically in the box seat now to win this championship. He's probably just about got it sewn up on the points. We're pretty confident of that. Don't think there'll be any penalties coming his way, but he'll be wanting to finish this race on a high. I don't imagine that he'll let Josh Ritchie go past by any stretch of the imagination. He'll be wanting to win this race and finish the season with a win. There's no reason why you wouldn't want to. And I said to him earlier this afternoon, come on, man, you want to take back-to-back wins, don't you? And he said, I wouldn't mind just finishing 5th in both races to take home the points, but he's a racer, and racers want to win. There's no reason why you wouldn't want to.
Well, anyone who goes to a racetrack, why are they going to the racetrack?
Correct.
They're going to the racetrack to win. Oh, and Ethan Moore chucks it really wide there. Doesn't scrape off a lot of points. There you go. Scott McQueen way down the back there. Scott McQueen's going to know it too. He's going to be coming off these corners. He's going to see them. And it's just going to be like a step. But I don't know if he actually knows that he potentially has that second spot at this stage.
I don't know if these guys are any good at math, but obviously McQueen's sitting down there in P4 not trying to go and get after Moore at the moment. You sort of wonder whether or not he's pretty confident that he's going to get this win. Knowing that Jordan Penne is in the lead, it's going to be super tough for Josh Ritchie to catch up. And I know that Josh Ritchie hasn't been the fastest guy around this circuit. In fact, if you give me a moment, I can find out it's actually Ethan Moore. He did a 2:17.582. He's got the world record in this car. And funnily enough, Jordan Penne, P2, 2:17.698. So there's only a 10th between these guys. So Ritchie is doing a fantastic job for a guy who's not regularly hot lapping the circuit in this car to be sitting between two world record holders. Oh, looks like McQueen there getting super loose. Lots of understeer there into turn 1. So maybe he's just struggling with the circuit at the moment.
Yeah, he's definitely pushing it. I think in his mind, he's like, I've got to catch these guys. I've got to catch up to these guys in the race.
Margin's stable, though. That's the key thing, though. It's still at 6 seconds. So is he just pushing too hard?
But yeah, you got to remember that's between himself and Penne. He knows that he's got to get Ritchie, so he's looking. He can see them in the front of their screen. As you see up there, Jake Parker in 5th position, Robinson in 6th position, and our fastest Filipino. I think we're going to have to give him a new nickname.
Yeah, we have to just say favourite. We just say favourite Filipino.
Favourite Filipino, yeah.
Oh, we could just say the slowest Filipino. I mean, I certainly don't know any of them.
Quite have the same ring to it.
You do have to give it to Louis. He's studying at the moment. He was telling us last week he had 3 hours sleep because he's got all his exams coming up. But
Crazy, man.
At the same time, motorsport requires commitment. If you're going to do this, guys, if you're tuning in at home and you want to get yourself a game and you want to get your Speed Nation set up, commit. These guys, Penne, 3 hours a night. Now, if you've got kids and a partner like me, there is no way I can do this game and win because I would not be allowed. So if you want to get involved, Maddie, you've got to say, you're a smart guy. You just said it. This has got to come back, right?
Oh, certainly. And look, I mean, if you want to compete in the next one, I'd recommend getting more than 3 hours sleep per night. But absolutely, if you want to get out there, you can essentially buy a variety of titles for sim racing. And then you of course want to get the sim setup. These guys are all on Speed Nation. You throw a couple hundred to a couple of thousand and you can get anywhere from just the wheel to the full setup. So it's definitely there, and it's certainly a lot cheaper than any traditional racing car, right? I mean, look, you go out there and you can race around any track in the world on these games.
On the back end of that, though, I also say, guys, if you're in there and you're into sim racing, get involved with motorsport. The reason you're doing this is because you like motorsport, you like racing. Well, we need your help. We need you to get to the tracks. We need you to volunteer. We need marshals. We need people to come enter our classes. For drifting, if your mum's got a rear-wheel drive car, bring it along to the track and have a go. It's simple as that. Get involved with motorsport. So, get involved with sim, get involved with motorsport. We'll bring this back bigger, badder, better than ever, and it's going to be that one. And maybe a sponsor will chuck up $20,000 for prize money.
And again, like I said, I want to see this racetrack filled with races as well. I mean, look, 8 races, it's nice, but we can certainly fill it out with more.
I'd love to commentate a 20-car grid. It would be absolute mayhem.
I mean, look, with the way video games are going right now, we would get 100 people in there and get sim racing battle royale, which is all the craze right now in esports. But let's bring it back for a second to the race right now, because look what is happening.
Ethan Moore trying to send it down the inside at turn 4. Can't quite hold on to the pass that time, but he actually dropped back after trying to get past him. So looks like maybe just saying, oh no, you can have P2 for now. But a bit of an odd move there by Ethan Moore to hemorrhage a lot of time there trying to get past. It definitely compromised his line. As you see, Josh Ritchie definitely is excited.
He's having a laugh, isn't he? He just talks the whole way through the race. Now, these guys have got those headphones on, and some of them actually, they're very loud. I've been in that studio when it's on, and
Josh in particular.
they're actually yelling at each other. So you stand in there, and it's quite funny. It's comical to watch.
I mean, look, this room that we're in is literally soundproof, and I can hear Josh Ritchie sometimes, particularly one week specifically where he didn't have the best results, but the guy is loud.
Yeah. Now, if you guys want to check out this amazing studio, the LPL Studios, it's actually live in the Sky Tower right here in the heart of Auckland City. Just get onto the LPL Facebook page. There's some pretty cool behind-the-scenes, amazing studio for gaming, and really risen the bar here. It's nothing like this in Sydney or Australia. I don't even know if there's something like this in America, but it's pretty rad.
It's only one in the country, after all.
For sure.
Certainly is. I mean, it's, in my opinion, one of the best esports studios around the world right now. It's built dedicated to just that, just esports. And with the variety of games that we put on as well, I mean, racing, fighting games, shooting games, like absolutely everything has been done.
Or High School League, one of your
High School League as
And
well.
we've got the All Blacks too.
Yeah. I mean, look, if it's good enough for the All Blacks, it's good enough for you guys too. So, look, the All Blacks are pretty much gods here. But let's get real. But
yeah. Funny enough, though, that Mad Mike has more followers than all the Blacks put together for drifting. Just saying. Yeah. Anyway, lap 7 of 10. Josh Ritchie, Ethan Moore. Ethan Moore now having another little look. Motorsport madness it has been in the LPL studios for the last 8 weeks. Ethan Moore and Josh Ritchie, this is usually a battle we would see between Scott McQueen and Ethan Moore. Now, Scott McQueen still sitting quite far back. He has shaved a second off that time, but it's not going to be enough. We will find the winners out very shortly. We're going to go to a podium prize. We're not going to do champagne showers because we are in a studio. We did the champagne showers though, and Jordan did get to spray champagne in your face, Simon.
Hi, Jordan.
Which I felt quite happy about after taking me out on the go-karts.
that's all right.
No such thing.
I'm sure we'll take the guys out a little bit later. We'll find some champagne for them. Don't worry.
I'm
Promise.
keen. I'm so keen.
All right,
Oh,
so
you're not for
Louis
you, for the guys.
Manila,
damn.
Louis gets a bit of screen time now. As they say in motorsport, if you're not, usually
You're not first, you're last.
You're not first, you're last. Well, often first doesn't actually get a lot of screen time because they're out there, they're leading, and the cameras want to focus on something that's
That happened in round one, didn't it?
Racing.
Jordan was dominating at Laguna Seca, and we never
We
saw
never
him.
watched him
we never
because-
saw him.
Doesn't get ratings. So, Louis, here we go. Michael Robinson, put it into Louis and we'll get some ratings, and they're getting some screen time. So if they say you're not winning, you should be crashing, or you should be doing something to get your sponsors some screen time. Not like Brendan Hartley, obviously, just recently too. Let's have a quick touch on motorsport around the world. Brendan Hartley, he's still obviously with the Formula One team at this present time. Who else is doing some big things? Scott Dixon just took a win recently as well.
Yeah, so he just took a 46th IndyCar win, so that puts him onto the all-time winners list at number 3.
How did Scott McLaughlin, Shane Van Gisbergen in that kind of weekend?
McLaughlin did pretty all right. He got a race win on the Saturday, and we had a pretty good race on the Sunday. Yeah, he had a few issues to deal with in terms of oil and things like that. As we see Louis going a little bit wide, trying the Scott McQueen route that time, trying to cool his tyres perhaps, but not working this time by. I'm not sure that Michael Robinson can see an awful lot out of his cracked windscreen. This might open the door for Louis de Manila to just hold on. Good run out of the corner there for Michael Robinson. We've only got a handful of laps here to go. These guys racing with no headlights at the moment, but that's no problem because they're down at the back and it doesn't really matter. So they're just racing for the wooden spoon at this point in time. So Michael Robinson, P7, and Louis de Manila in P6. Jordan Penny, stall your race leader. And we see Michael Robinson again trying the Scott McQueen maneuver onto the grass. That's not going to work, buddy.
So I just want to point out as well, there's 12 points between the final 3 contenders, right? Louis, Michael Robinson, and I believe Jake Parker as well. So they are competing for the overall wooden spoon as well.
Yeah, lap 8, Jake Parker right now. Lap 8, Jake Parker's just focusing there, the wooden spoon. But, at the end of the day, bragging rights, you want to kind of bring something back to the table. You've got nothing to lose at the end.
Yeah, you definitely always want to be looking for that improvement as well as we're coming into lap 8 of 10 so far. In Road America, it's our final track. And, we're keeping an eye on these bottom 3 races right here because, of course, nobody wants to earn the 100% wooden spoon. But, of course, I believe the end result, the one that we all want to see, is Ritchie and McQueen. And remember, I'm just going to stress it once more in case you haven't heard it earlier this race, is that right now, if it's finished, if the positions are locked in like this at the end of the race, Richie will finish in third overall, with McQueen eking him out by, I believe it's going to be something like 2 or 3 points, which means not even the fastest lap extra championship point can save him at the stage. So Richie needs to get first in this race to get up to second.
And it doesn't look like we're going to be heading towards that, unfortunately, at this point in time. Pena currently leading by 2.5 seconds now, and it looks like Richie is actually doing a lot to keep Ethan Moore behind him at the moment. McQueen, he's managed to eke into that gap just a little bit, but not enough to be a challenger for that podium. He'll be a little bit disappointed by that, but he'll be happy knowing that he's got this money in the bag right now. Currently, Richie just holding on ahead of Moore. Moore's doing a fantastic job. Second place in the world in terms of his overall time around this circuit in this car. So here we go. Only 2 laps to go, I believe, as we go to the line.
Yeah, shout out to Ethan Moore as well. Again, he just does come out in these races and randomly impresses us. He's usually 5th place or lower, but he's coming into this one, again, just suddenly showing everyone he can set a great lap time. He can come in and race with the best of them. Still contesting Richie at certain points during this race, despite what we can see as something like a 2 or 3 car gap between them.
So just a small correction. It looks like we're on the last lap here at Road America. The last time here at Let's Play Live. It's going to be a bit of an emotional last lap here. It looks like that margin is coming down, though, between Josh Ritchie and Jordan Penny, and maybe Penny having a slow one that last time by. So we'll hopefully follow Jordan Penny in a moment now for his victory lap here at Road America. It won't be long before he's seeing dollar signs as he crosses that finish line.
Yeah, I feel like he's been seeing dollar signs all day because he's been essentially guaranteed that first place finish. But one last time around one of the tracks through the Star Insurance Specialist Project Cars 2 New Zealand Championship. I mean, Ethan Moore still trying to overtake Josh Ritchie, but at this stage, unless there's a colossal mistake from any of these races, you can expect these positions to be the results at the end of the race. We are in the penultimate lap, by the way, 9 out of 10, so we still have one more to go after this one, so we will check out Jordan Penne for his final lap, of course. Victory lap.
That last time by, that margin did just sort of creep down a little bit to just under 2 seconds now. So Jordan Penne may be feeling his tyres going away a little bit here on the second to last lap now, but it doesn't look like it's having too much of an effect at this time by. Actually really fascinating to watch. McQueen has dropped an awful lot of time there in P4 now. He's just dropped back a lot. 15 seconds now behind, and that margin is going out and out and out. So can Michael Robinson potentially catch McQueen there and change the complexion of this championship? We'll have to see. It was a 2:30 that last time by. So perhaps a mistake there from Scott McQueen. Have we seen the last of this?
Look, he had a sizable lead on Michael Robinson, and Michael Robinson is still over 4 seconds behind him, which is, I mean, it's the gap between Penne and Ritchie. So we can still expect McQueen to hold that, but if he makes that mistake again, then yes, that will change the whole championship, and Ritchie could potentially get that second place.
Parker just moving up ahead of Robinson now as we focus on the battle for P2 and P3. It's the final lap here at Road America. Ritchie is just holding on for P2 here. Ethan Moore's going to try and sweep around the outside at turn 1. Can he get the move done? Not this time by. Ritchie holds the racing line into turn 1, but Moore's going to get a good exit. Ritchie's going to just cover his nose off a little bit. Here he goes. He shows the nose once more. He's going to send it down the inside at turn 2. Ritchie will be annoyed that he's trying to get this move down, but they go side by side. Some fantastic clean racing here. Ritchie just holding on. Now, can we see more? Is he going to tuck it up the rear wing behind Ritchie this time by down the long straight? This is one more chance for him. Probably the main opportunity for him to lodge an attack here. Can Moore get within striking distance? It doesn't look like it at this point. That margin still between McQueen and Robinson, still stable there at 5 seconds. So no worries for McQueen at the moment on this last lap here at Road America.
Of course, Ritchie still wants to hold on to that pride, get that at least second place finish for this track and just hold on to it. He knows he can't catch Penne right now. It's out of his hands. He just needs to get the best lap he can. But we're going to join Jordan Penne on his final lap and will secure him the victory again. Short of an absolute disaster, he's got it in the bag.
Yeah, he's put on an absolute masterclass all season. The man who has had the most wins of anyone this entire season, and he's going to add another one to his belt in just a few corners time.
Not many people called this man the favorite as he came into the championship, but oh boy, were they wrong, because like you said, he has just consistently got first place finishes, racked up an insurmountable lead on the leaderboard as well. So Jordan Penne absolutely deserving of all of the prowess, all of the rewards, and all of the victory that he's going to gain today.
$5,000. There's only a few more corners away here for Jordan Penne. Just 2 more corners here. That battle between Richie and Moore is still raging on. But here we go. Jordan Penne, he's going to round the final corner here at Road America. Looks like Richie's just going to hold on for P2. Ethan Moore is going to take P3 to round out your podium. But here we go. Sense of relief for Jordan Penne. He is your Let's Play Live Star Insurance Specialist, Project Cars 2 New Zealand champion. Congratulations.
And of course, coming right after him is going to be Richie. And unless anything changes, that's going to lock in 3rd place overall. And we know Scott McQueen, you can see he's taken his headphones off. He's very likely about to finish. And that's going to lock him in his 2nd place in the standings. We're going to catch up with all of our podium winners in a few moments. But, oh man, Simon, look, we're at the end. We've finished. We're at the end of the championship. And Jordan Penne, well, he's stoked. He's about as stoked as I've seen him.
Yeah. He is a man who is happy now, perhaps not showing a hell of a lot of emotion at the moment. Here we look at Scott McQueen. He's going to take home P2 provisionally in the overall championship, and Josh Ritchie will take 3rd. So $5,000, $3,000, and $2,000 in the bag, respectively, for these guys. But you've got to say, Jordan Penne, he's been an absolute dominant force in this championship from day one. 2 wins on the trot here at Laguna Seca, and it was just a masterclass straight away.
Absolutely, the whole way through. But let's take a look at the standings so far from Road America. Jordan Penne right there in 1st place. Josh Ritchie, of course, held the P2 the whole time. Ethan Moore as well, slipping in at 3rd. And then, of course, Scott McQueen in the 4th place. Good enough to lock him 2nd place overall. And then rounding it out, Michael Robinson, Jake Parker, and for the last time, Louis D. Manila, the fastest Filipino. So there you have it. That's the final results we're going to see for the entire championship. What an absolute race. I mean, wasn't the most spectacular, exciting race right at the end, but look, it gave us a chance to just talk about the journey we've had so far.
Yeah, and I think Jordan Penne has been the deserving guy of the championship. He's been the guy who from the outset just showed that he had the pace. He's actually one of the most oldest competitors in this championship, so to get $5,000 in the kitty is pretty good for a guy like him. So really good to see that age doesn't even matter when it comes to video gaming. It's not all just for the young guys. So yeah, fascinating to see sort of the mix of guys in this championship. Hopefully we see a bit of a change up. Maybe a few women come along into the sport next time we do this championship. So don't just think it's all for the boys. You can come and mix it up.
I mean, that's the great thing, right? I mean, esports is the great equalizer here. There's
for sure.
No biological advantage that you're going to get for your gender. So like literally anyone can come in and join. As long as you can sit in the seat, race a wheel, you can get into the sim racing as well. So absolutely everyone, if you've loved what you've seen today, get into that competitive spirit, get online, or just go have a LAN at your mates and see who's the best. Because, I mean, look, that's how you get into these sort of things. Everyone starts with just playing a game they love and then realizing, hey, look, I'm actually pretty good at it.
Definitely. I found the same thing. You know, I used to love playing Need for Speed Underground 2.
Oh, that's a classic.
Things got a little bit more serious.
Riders on the Storm.
Factor. Yeah, Riders on the Storm, so good. But yeah, you know, you can start off with arcade gaming and get into the more serious stuff and work your way up to Project Cars or, you know, R Factor 2 and then maybe even iRacing beyond that. So, you know, sim racing can be serious and it can be, you know, just a little bit of fun too. And it can be both. You know, you don't just have to be a serious sim racer 100% of the time. You know, for a guy like Josh Ritchie, I know tonight he said this is probably his last sim racing time that he's ever going to be out on track. But I know for a fact that guy is going to be out on track again. There's
he'll
no
be
doubt
back.
about it. Yeah.
He'll be back. I mean, the only reason he wouldn't be back is if he makes it a career in the real world for motorsports. But I believe we actually have the podium winners standing by. So let's get right onto it and hand them their victorious rewards.
All right, guys, that's right. We're here live in the Sky Tower, the heart of Auckland CBD. The racers are standing right behind me, and we're about to find out the winners for the Star Insurance Specialist Project Cars 2 Championship. What a race. 16 races around the world, 8 races, but there can only be 3 winners and 1 person on that top spot. So we're going to bring out 3rd position first. The guys are going to congratulate them. So let's have a look right now. Who's going to come down this hallway? In 3rd position is...
Waiting for third position, guys. And it's Josh Ritchie, ladies and gentlemen. Well done, Josh. Have a stand right there next to the podium. Josh Ritchie, we'll have a talk with you in one very quick moment. Which means in second position for the Star Insurance Specialist Project Cars, it's none other than the Tauranga local, Mr. Scott McQueen. Well done, buddy. You have a stop. You have a step right there. Which means, ladies and gentlemen, there can be only one winner, and I'm going to get a little trophy for him, for our lovely assistant over here, right here. And he's a man that did all the hours. He put in the hard work. His family have tuned in every week from all over New Zealand. He really does deserve this win. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, put your hands together for our 2018 Star Insurance Specialist winner, Jordan Te Moana Pene. There you go, mate. Look, jump up there, Jordan. Take the top to the top step. This is for you. You can hold that high. Smile for the camera here. Everybody clap. Give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. Your 2018 Star Insurance Specialist Project Cars 2 champion. All right. So let's have a quick word. In third position, Josh Ritchie, what have you got to say?
I don't like third team much. I prefer second or maybe even first because he's got a nice vase. But, I mean, hey, third is still quite good, especially with the pressure I had from Robert Northway going into this. So I'm happier than a Gypsy in Hamilton right now.
Mate, you're a character and a half, you know. If there's anything you could say to anyone tuned in at home right now, what would you say?
I know all family watching at home, the Richies, Rebels, the Morangas, every one of you, thank you so much. For the people, the other friends at home, you know, like Taylor, Brad, thank you very much for watching and tuning in. Try to get it really, but, you know, in the end, my mess-ups got me, yes, but good results also got me here to third place. So, hey, thank you very much for your support and well done to Jordan and Mr. Baseball cap over there. Well done.
The nerves. Hey, well done again. You are definitely the character of the series. You've worn your heart on your sleeve, so well done. So I'm going to quickly jump over here and have a quick word with the Tauranga man. Three weeks you had the game. Scott, you must be pretty chuffed with this result.
Yeah, pretty stoked. Pretty stoked Josh gave it to me, so...
Now you guys have, there's a bit of a stand there, but you guys are both in the money. You're standing here for the first time. Is there anyone at home you'd like to thank? Because, you know, obviously LPL for a start, which is great. Anyone else?
Yep, my sister's been a big support. Watched every race and always let me know. My nana as well, and the rest of my family back in Tauranga.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
And obviously the commitment. Have you had a word of advice for anybody at home, for someone who wanted to enter the next championship? What would it be?
Just give it a go, really. You never really know until you try, and that's all I did, and look where I am now, so, yeah.
Well, now dubbed Lightning, Scott, well done on the second place, and we're obviously going to hand it over. You can actually have the microphone too. It's a great thing. Jordan, well done. You've taken the Star Insurance Specialist first top spot, and that prize money, $10,000, $5,000 for you. The microphone's all yours.
Okay. All right, I just want to say thanks to everyone that supported me. I got Alison and the boys and Ataro down in Christchurch. Also got my brother Michael and his wife Teresa, the boys Josiah and Johannes, and also there's as well as my mum overseas in Australia, my father as well, and other family over there been supporting me. I'd like to say a special thanks to Vita, my partner, for all the support and cooking meals and just really helping out a lot so that I can spend all the time I've spent practicing. And I also want to say thanks to God as well, because he's been on my side, obviously, this whole way. 7 wins. I'm very happy to achieve that. And it's been a pleasure to race with these guys. It's been an absolute awesome experience, and I'd highly recommend it for anyone else in the future. Cheers.
Well done, Jordan. That's beautiful, man. I don't think I could say it any better. Ladies and gentlemen, boys at home, round of applause for your 3 winners, Scott McQueen, Josh Ritchie, and Jordan Penne. All right, guys, back to you, Simon and Maddie.
Man, I love to see just the human features out of those guys as well. I mean, you've got Josh Ritchie, who's such an animated character, Scott McQueen, it just felt like he kind of was there, but somehow ended up in second place. And then Jordan Penne, who's just down to earth, and I think that is probably one of the most important things about the guy, apart from being amazing at sim racing as well. But ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the final standings for the Star Insurance Specialist Project Cars 2 New Zealand Championship. In first place, Jordan Te Moana Pene with 7 first place finishes. Honestly, I thought it was more. And of course, he's sitting so far ahead, broke the 300 as well. Scott McQueen in second place. Josh Ritchie following up a mere 4 points behind. And of course, Robert Northway, unfortunately unable to join us tonight, will finish in P4.
I think for Robert Northway, it was just those DNFs and those occasional errors that really cost him 4 wins to his name. Equal best with Scott McQueen and Josh Ritchie combined. So for a guy like him, I think consistency's got to be the thing that he's got to work on next time. Ethan Moore got that 1 win to his name, a couple of podiums in third and a fastest lap, 181 points to his credit. Jake Parker, Michael Robinson and Louis De Manila rounding out your top 8.
Yeah, and look, that's been the story so far. Some amazing racing coming out of everyone here today. But like Brendan said, there can only be one winner, and it is, of course, Jordan Pene. Guys, that is pretty much everything from us for the entire championship. You can definitely rest assured that we're going to be back again with sim racing once more. But look, guys, it's just been absolutely fantastic. And I also want to remind everyone that you can get into this at home. I mean, look, you're going to get a setup too, right?
I've got one.
You've got one. There you go. Look, you got to go out, grab one. I recommend the Speed Nation ones. That's what everyone's been racing on in the studio today. So look, get out there. You can spend as much as you want, a few hundred, a few thousand, certainly much cheaper than buying an actual race car and getting out there because, you're given pretty much all the cars you can think of. You've got all of the tracks around the world, so absolutely get out there. And, well, I think I can help you guys at home if you want to get into the next championship because we're giving away a copy of the game. All you have to do is get onto Twitter and tweet at Let's Play Live HQ with the hashtag that you'll find just below, Project Cars 2 NZ, and all you need to do is tell us your favorite moment of the whole championship, and maybe that happened today. So, guys, that's how you can earn yourself a copy of the game. I hope to see everyone's favorite moments, and I think that's us. That's just been such a great time. Like, any final words from you, Simon?
Oh, I'm just stoked to be part of it. It's been a new experience for me. I'm used to more real-life circuit racing, so to see these guys competing at such a high level has been really fantastic.
Yeah, look, it's been absolutely spectacular, and you can see all the races here. Guys, it's been fantastic having all of you here, the racers, the viewers, and everyone involved in the championship so far. This is going to be it for us at the Star Insurance Specialist Project Cars 2 New Zealand Championship. To everyone at home, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again for the next championship.
This Let's Play Live presentation was brought to you by Star Insurance Specialists, New Zealand's leading niche vehicle insurance provider. SkyCITY, world-class entertainment. Logitech G, gaming with sun. And Samsung, redefine the game.